high fidelity.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news in the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorda, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. And we have a great show for you today. And as always, you can catch us on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions or just give your 2 cents, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. Hit option 1 if you want to talk to us. We'll be here probably until about 9:30, somewhere around there. We'll be here until we get out. That's how we do things. Today, we're going to talk about who's really the fighter of the year. I know who ESPN picked, but the bottom line is it's not official until we tell you who the fight of the year is, who the fighter of the year is. Lots of fights coming to Ohio in 2017. I told you, Ohio is title town, baby. I told you. I kept telling everybody this is the Mecca. It's like the Las Vegas of the Midwest. We'll tell you about who's coming here. Danny Jacobs opens as a huge underdog against Triple G. We'll talk about the odds, but first, we get started with the only fight on the docket this week, man. Arthur Beterbiev versus Isidro Prieto. I don't know if you guys saw this fight or not. It took place in Russia. I caught it. I actually caught it today. So Prieto came out in this fight. It didn't last long. He came out really aggressive. I was actually really surprised Prieto came out as aggressive as he did. He was backing Beterbiev into the ropes. He was throwing shots in. He wasn't landing anything, but he was super, super aggressive. And he paid for it about 30 seconds in, and he was dropped. And when he got dropped, and he looked like he was in some trouble. The fight was pretty much all Beterbiev. I mean, Beterbiev dropped him again toward the end of the round. Prieto made it to his feet, but the ref stopped the fight. It was a good stoppage. He was going to get killed in there. Beterbiev won. I think there was maybe 20 seconds left in the round or something like that. It was a pretty easy call. Pretty easy fight for Beterbiev. Once he knocked him down that first time, Prieto just that was it for him. I think he was really hurt. I think he got up on pretty much instinct alone. You could see he was very, very hurt. And then he wasn't trying to walk Beterbiev down anymore. If anything, he was getting backed up by Beterbiev, and that was pretty much it. And it went the way it was supposed to go. That's the thing. It went the way it was supposed to go. It was kind of a tune-up for Beterbiev. Robert, let me ask you. He's going to be Beterbiev now is going to be he's going to fight for a mandatory, I guess, like he's going to fight for a mandatory title shot. He's going to fight somebody, and then they're going to get the sanctioning, I guess, for the IBF, I want to say, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, in other words,
eliminator fight.
What it is a mandatory eliminator.
Right, a mandatory eliminator fight. So let me ask you now, what are your thoughts on Beterbiev? And he's only got a handful of pro fights. I mean, he really does. He doesn't have many. What's your take on him? I mean, is he ready for the big time now, or does he need a lot more seasoning? I mean, when you watched him, and this fight aside, when you've seen him before, what is your takeaway from him?
Honestly, I think he needs more seasoning. But the problem you have in the world of boxing is you got guys like Lomachenko who has come in and said, seasoning what? I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I don't care how many fights I have. And the problem he also has, he's on the PBC side of things. And I don't know which sanctioning body he's going to be fighting for. But if it's the WBC, that means he's going to get a shot at Stevenson, and that'll be a big fight in Canada since they're both from Canada. And I think even with his lack of seasoning, with the power that he's got, he could give Stevenson fits. But if he's fighting for any of the other sanctioning bodies, elimination belts, he's got to deal with the winner of Kovalev Ward 2, provided that fight ever takes place, which there's some legitimate question now that may happen. So, but if I was in his management team, I would want to keep him fighting. I would want to make him more active because I don't know if he's quite ready for an eliminator yet. But that's just my opinion, being a boxing novice and not having anything to do with managing a fighter.
Beeb, what are your thoughts on Beterbiev and if he's ready or not for the big time?
He looks like a murderous puncher, and he seems to be pretty smooth in there, pretty skilled. I mean, it's not like he just goes in there and swings for the fences. He sets his shots up. Seems like he's a very comprehensive, cerebral type fighter. Just that basic Eastern European type fighter like Gennady Golovkin, guys that have that long amateur background with a lot of fights behind them, in amateurs, seeing a lot of different types of styles. He's been in there with some pretty decent opposition, not the upper echelon just yet. But, giving him the eye test, it looks like he's going to be a tough guy, a tall task for a lot of these guys. He's not going to be easy out for anybody. I'm not saying he's going to beat everybody, but he does have that X factor, that eraser, and that's that punch that he does possess. And we've seen him knock people out with body shots and head shots. And, he's just a guy that once he puts on the pressure and once he hurts a fighter, he knows how to get him out of there. It's not like he just is a sloppy guy in there, as I said earlier. I just think he's really like one of them cerebral type assassins. And, I think that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, definitely.
Good deal. And that was pretty much it. As far as the action went this week, that was pretty much it. Now let's turn ourselves to the upcoming fights here. This is very interesting because we can always count on Japan. Tokyo, for whatever reason, whether it's MMA, whether it's boxing, they always have their New Year's shows. So December 30th, which is a Friday, if I'm correct, Robert, in Tokyo.
Yep.
Naoya Inoue versus Kohei Kono, 12 rounds for Inoue's WBO junior bantamweight title. Now, they have really pushed the name Inoue on us. I've seen him fight a few times. I'm not real sold on him yet. Everybody is saying this guy is the next coming and everything like that. They want him to fight Chocolatito. That's the big fight everybody talks about. I'm not 100% sure, just like I'm not 100% sold on Chocolatito moving up in weight either. But, they say Inoue is the guy, so you probably have to stream this or turn into YouTube the next day to watch it. But anyway, fighting in Tokyo the 30th. And also on the 30th, Hank Lundy versus John Delperdang. John Bang Bang Delperdang, 12-round lightweights, and we'll come back to that in just a second. That's in Cincinnati, son. Cincinnati. I told you, it's the Las Vegas of the Midwest. This is where all the big fights happen, right here, Cincinnati.
Are you going to spend your Friday night there, Eric?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I want to, anytime there's local boxing, I like to go see it, especially pro boxing. I like to go and support it because we don't get, honestly, we don't get much out here. All the big fights are in New York or Vegas or anything like that. So anytime we get like something like this, I want to definitely go out and support that and be a part of that and that kind of thing. So for sure.
Okay.
So let's move to December 31st. From Japan, another Japanese card here. Moises Fuentes versus Kosei Tanaka, 12 rounds for the vacant WBO junior flyweight title. And that'll be on BN Sports, Robert's favorite station. Our favorite station, the official station of Ringside Reporter. Our boy, Andres is on there. All right. And then there's two more from Kyoto, Japan. Jonathan Guzman versus Yukinori Oguni, 12 rounds for Guzman's IBF featherweight title. And another one from Tokyo, Jezreel Corrales versus Takashi Uchiyama, rematch for 12 rounds for Corrales' WBA junior lightweight title. And that's it until the 12th. And then the 13th, of course, we have Arislandi Lara and Yuri Foreman, and we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks here. So that's the schedule. That's the schedule for coming up here. So let's talk about this. Hank Lundy fight here, because that's in Cincinnati. So like I said, we don't get many fights here, and this is actually at the Boom Fitness Center here in Cincinnati, Ohio. To my knowledge, this is the first time a fight has taken place there, but I don't know. So I may be speaking out of turn there. But the Boom Fitness Center is here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's Hank Lundy versus John Delperdang. And let's talk about this for a second here. Hank Lundy, had his problem. This will take place at lightweight, which I think is Hank Lundy's better weight. He's not. He's just not as strong at 140 as he is at 135. But let's talk about Delperdang is 10-1 to Hank Lundy's 26-6-1 with 13 knockouts. But let's talk about Hank Lundy's last 3 fights. He's actually 1 win and three losses in his last 4 fights. All right, so he's lost to Terrence Crawford, Mauricio Herrera, and Thomas Delorme. His 1 win coming against Carlos Velasquez. And you can really make it. I mean, Robert, would you agree with me when I say that he could actually be 3-1 in his last 4 fights? With Mauricio Herrera, I thought he was winning that fight. Thomas Delorme, it was a split decision. Could have went either way. So very easily, I think he could have been with 3-1. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, he could have very easily won both of those fights with Delorme and Herrera. My question is, I realize Hank has moved down to 135, but do we consider him a legitimate contender in that division, or do we have to start looking at him as a gatekeeper with the way the boxing business works nowadays? I think Hank's a good fighter. I think he'd give anybody at 135 fits, but with him suffering 3 losses in his last 4 fights, I wonder if he's going to be treated fairly as far as the boxing business is concerned. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Beeb, what do you think about that?
Well, it just remains to be seen, because as we know, the boxing politics are always going to be around, and people are going to have an influence. The house fighter generally does get preferential treatment, not because there's underhanded things going on behind the scenes. It's just a perception that when you're told something and you expect something to happen, when it doesn't happen, you try to convince yourself that it is happening even though it isn't, and you try to find little confirmation bias type things to kind of validate yourself. So we've seen that in boxing so many times where we could be watching one thing, and the judges could be seeing something else. The commentators could be seeing something else. So, I wouldn't put it past anyone in boxing, to not get a fair shake.
Well, let's talk about who the options are. Let's say he does go through. Let's say he goes through and wins this fight. Let's talk about his options here at 135. The WBC title is the WBC and WBA titles are held by the super champion is Jorge Linares. This drives me nuts, because again, the WBC has 2 champions.
Yes.
Dejan's Zlatikainen, I believe, is set to fight Mikey Garcia next year, so he's locked up.
Yep. So
he's locked up. Terry Flanagan is said to be in talks with Paulie Malignaggi and or not Paulie Malignaggi. I can't remember who it is, but I believe he's in talks, possibly with Verdejo. Maybe it's Verdejo he's in talks with. But then it's look,
Verdejo. I think Verdejo. I think Verdejo is mandatory, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Verdejo's got to come back and win his fight coming back after his accident, and then that's going to set up the Flanagan fight. So that leaves Linares, and it leaves Robert Easter Jr. If he shows up well in Cincinnati, he shows up well here, that could lead him to Robert Easter. I think that's a good matchup for Robert Easter. I think that's a quality matchup for Robert Easter. What are you guys' thoughts on that match? And or if you guys wanted to see like Lundy go against, like I said, a Flanagan or like a Linares or something like that, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, the 2 guys I would want to see Lundy against, if it was legitimately possible, would be Robert Easter and Mikey Garcia. I think both of those fights would be good fights, but the problem Hank would have, Robert Easter is like 5'11".
Yeah.
I don't think Hank could
Big
be able
guy.
to deal with Robert Easter's size and with Robert Easter's boxing ability. I think Robert Easter would run circles around him in the ring. I think the better matchup for him, provided Mikey Garcia wins in January, would be Mikey Garcia and Hank Lundy. But it just depends on which way his management team is trying to send him, in what direction, for what sanctioning body. But I think both of those fights would be good for Hank. But I think Robert would show him maybe it's time to find something else to do, because that's how good Robert Easter is.
Robert, yeah, he is something. He is definitely something. But you know what's funny about Robert Easter is that you watch him and you see holes in his game, but he's so big, he's so rangy. He reminds me of like his build like a Thomas Hearns. You know, he's got that big lanky body, and he moves so well. He's got power. He's got holes in it. You know, he's got some holes in his game. He's a young fighter, but you know, you could see those going away very easily. That's a tough fight for Hank Lundy, but I think it's a good fight for Easter Jr., you know? So
yeah,
depends on how that goes.
I think Mikey Garcia, though, would be a tough out for him, because I think skill-wise and punching power-wise, I think Mikey Garcia is probably the most well-rounded fighter in that division. And I look at him as probably being the guy to run that division when it's all said and done, if he stays down there long enough, because, you know, he's been moving to go up to 140 as well. So that's a very tough fight for Hank. But I think a Terry Flanagan would be a better fight for Hank, because Flanagan's not really he's good, don't get me wrong, but he's probably the least experienced out of all those guys. And you know, he can be hit a little bit too. Linares possibly too is you know, he's a guy that tends to get hit as well, and when he does get hit, he gets busted up. And you know, there's been questions about his stamina and chin, although he did look great in his last fight. But those two fights, I think, in terms of a chance for Hank to win, would be very good fights for him. But I think Garcia, I think Easter, I just think those guys would be a little bit too much for Hank. So if he's looking to try to get a title, if that's possible, I think he'd probably go the other route with those two fighters I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I think it's a good fight for Easter. Maybe not so good of a fight for Lundy. But yeah, Terry Flanagan, I think him making that, and he might be a better matchup style wise, but him making that trek across, because you know he's not coming here. So him making that trek across the pond to go fight Flanagan, he's a tough out for anybody at that point. You know, anytime you got to go over to England, it's a tough thing. Right now, I want to go to the phone lines, because I believe we have Robert James, who's actually promoting, who's with Boom, and is actually promoting this fight. Robert, is that you?
We have his director of operations, Tiffany Williams.
Tiffany Williams, how are you? The director of operations.
Training with the Tramp.
I'm so privileged here. How are you today?
Yes, he's actually
awesome. So tell us about this fight. Tell us about this fight in Cincinnati. Lundy in
it's Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
We're really excited about it. We've got Hank Lundy, who is fighting for the UBF lightweight world title. He's going up against John Delperdang. Now he's younger and he's tenacious, but he's not something to be sneezed at. So we're excited about that matchup. We know it's going to be a fight.
This is going to be a tough matchup for Delperdang. I mean, just given his experience and everything like that, given Lundy's experience and given Delperdang's experience, how do you see the fight playing out? And what is it that you see from Delperdang that's going to give Lundy fits?
I think that Lundy is definitely going to have to keep an eye out for Delperdang, his tenacity and his punching power. I think that he's coming prepared for this fight. He's got a lot to prove with this fight. And I don't think he's taking it lightly, but he's going up against a battle-tested Lundy who has the experience, who's fought some true beats in his time, you know, in the fight world, and he's nowhere near done. So
sure.
I think both champions are coming to win. So I'm excited to see how it's going to play out.
Yeah, we were just talking 135 is a much better weight for Hank Lundy than 140 was, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. He's a much better fit at 135. I think he's a force to be reckoned with at that weight. And I think really he's coming to take names. So I'm excited to see, starting with this one, to see how that's going to play out. But I'm sure that he's going to, you know, feverishly fight through the ranks at 135. So
absolutely,
I'm excited for that.
Now, is this the first fight at this venue? Is this the first fight at Boom? It's Boom. Help me out here.
It's Boom Fitness Center.
Boom Fitness Center.
Boom Fitness
I
Center.
apologize.
That actually stands for Bettering One's Overall Movement.
Okay.
So no worries.
All right.
But,
so is this the first fight at that venue?
In existence, this is not actually our first fight. This is our first professional fight at this venue. But this is not, we have an amateur program who had several fights here. And then I think another promoter has had some events here. But yeah, this is our first professional production at this facility.
That's great. It's such great news. And you know what? I happened to run into this by chance, man. I was looking at the schedule, and then I saw, you know, it just like came up because I had looked at the schedule. You know, we review the schedules and everything, and I was looking at it last night, just getting the show together, and I saw there was a fight in Cincinnati. I'm like, what? You know, so I went and looked it up real quick, and sure enough, it was right there. And I was like, we got to get this on, man. We have to figure this out and get it some run, man. Get it some press for sure. I'm always excited when professional boxing comes to Cincinnati, whether it's Adrian Bronner, or whether it's at the U.S. Bank, or whether it's anywhere else. I don't think we get a lot of pro boxing in the town, so I always want to, you know, promote that and everything like that. So absolutely, man. So give me the rundown as far as the events. Oh, of course, man. So give me the rundown as far as the events go, because I know you have, well, and let me touch on that before we get there. Now, I know you have two fighters on there making their pro debuts as well, correct?
We do. We've got some MMA crossovers. So we've got MMA champion Chris Curtis. He's actually going to be making his boxing debut in this fight. And then we've got Abdullah Muhammad, who's actually also going to be making his boxing debut. We've got Charles Stanford, who's already made his boxing switch over from MMA. And then we've got two brand new to the boxing field who are coming from our amateur program, Kevin Roundtree and Trevor Ballinger. So we've got an extensive card for any boxing fan. So we've got something for everyone.
Excellent. You guys have tickets available, correct?
We do. Tickets are available right now. You can purchase them by calling 513-409-2663, or you can go to our website. We got them at www.boom, and that's BOOM fitnesscenter.com.
Awesome. And do you guys have like a Twitter or a Facebook page? They can go look this up also?
Also, yes, we do. We have, we're on Facebook, and it's Facebook, and you'll find us under Boom Fitness Center.
Okay, perfect. And so lead me through the week of events here. Will there be I know there's a press conference, and when is a press conference taking place?
Well, we have a media workout, and that'll be on Thursday, the 29th, and that begins at 3:00 p.m.
Okay.
And that'll be a chance for, you know, the media to come in to see the champs get ready to work out, and also to see our other undercard champions as well. So it'll be an exciting time where we'll put on a good show so everybody can get a feel for what to expect coming up the next day. It's pretty exciting.
Awesome. And of course, the fight takes place on the 30th, and at 6:00 is when the bell rings, correct?
Well, yes, the doors will be opening at 5:00, and the fights will begin at 6. And our weigh-ins will actually be on the 29th as well, and those begin at 6 p.m.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, that's perfect. So right after the media workouts then.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'll tell you what, if you're in the
Right.
Cincinnati area and you're not going to this, man, you come on, man. You got to give them some love here, man. You got to go out here and support this. Support, when it comes to US Bank, when it comes to, some of the other cards here, in this case, Boom Fitness, go out there and support it. I mean, this is Hank Lundy. It's not like, this is a major guy, man. This is a major guy, title holder. Come on, guys, get out there.
Yeah, he's battle tested and he's come ready to take home that belt. So I am very excited about the matchup between him and John Delperdang. And I'm excited for all of Cincinnati, for bringing World Championship Boxing back to Cincinnati. I mean, we have a rich history of boxing here in the city. So it's just a positive event for people to, have an option to come to. So we're excited to be able to present it to you.
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, I appreciate your time, and I will definitely be there. I'll be there for all the events. So I will catch you there on Friday. Definitely Thursday and Friday. So there you go.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
All right. Thank you so much.
You'll be here for the weigh-in?
Absolutely.
All right.
Be there for
Thank
everything.
you.
All right. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So there you have it. The show is in Cincinnati. Again, man, Boom Fitness right here in Evendale, Ohio. So go check it out, man. I always like to support local shows, man. That's the thing. I mean, local shows lead to the big shows, and, it all starts ground roots. It creates a groundswell, so there it is. All right. So those are the upcoming fights. Let's also talk about, just touch on it, UFC 207. As you see, I got my Bruce Lee UFC shirt on. Ronda Rousey and Amanda Nunes, that's the big fight there for the bantamweight title. Beeb, I know you're going to watch this.
Definitely going to watch this fight. This is one of those fights where even if you're not a diehard MMA fan, it's something that you want to check out because, Ronda Rousey definitely made a name for herself in MMA. I think she's even more popular than Conor McGregor. I think what she's done for women in the in UFC, particularly in MMA overall, has been great. She's brought a lot of attention to the sport. And when was the last time you've seen a woman headline a show in any combat sports outside of Ronda Rousey? There's very few in between. And the women that do headline, they don't garner the attention that Ronda Rousey has garnered. So this is a huge event. It's something that I'm looking forward to, and I'm sure a lot of other people are looking forward to. And I think this will cross over to the casual MMA fan. And I think a lot of boxing fans like myself and like you will also, watch this fight. And I think that it'll do well. I think this could probably do well over 1 million pay-per-view buys, probably 1.5 million, possibly get close to that 2 mark.
Wow.
And that will be monumental for the sport. That will be monumental for the sport, as well as the UFC, because this is a long time coming. People want to see if that killer, that, caged tiger that once was before being knocked out by Holly Holm, if that warrior can return. We're going to have to see because after that fight, after that loss, thoughts of suicide, crying, really being depressed after the loss, which is understandable. But I mean, she was in a really, really, depressive stupor, and we just didn't even know if she was going to come back. And now she's coming back. We don't have to wait much longer. And we just that element of the unknown to see if she will come back and if she'll be ready, and if this is just a money grab for her, or is she back 100%? And is she in it? And, does she have that eye of the tiger back? Does she have that love of the sport back? Can she regain that aura of invincibility? That's what we want to know. That's what all the other fans want to know. So I'm excited. How could you not be excited about this event?
Absolutely. Do you think she beats Amanda Nunes?
This is the awesome thing about this fight. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. If you put a gun to my head, I may lean towards Nunes in this fight. I mean, she's been active. she's really well-rounded. She's good with her hands. She's a good grappler. She's got good jiu-jitsu. So let's see if Ronda Rousey can bring anything new to the table. Has anything improved? Because her claim to fame was that judo and that judo and that jiu-jitsu, and she was getting better with her hands, but that was not her bread and butter. So let's see, because I know, and most people after watching Nunes can see for themselves, she can put some shots together, and she can squat definitely, and she can crack. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards Nunes, but you know what? This is anyone's fight.
You know what's funny about this is that prior to her loss, Amanda Nunes, you pick Ronda Rousey and say Ronda Rousey's just going to wipe her, no questions asked. Now you're not so sure. She's been off a lot of time. Amanda Nunes has been active, so she's coming back after doing movies, after this big hiatus, breaking. There's a lot of she was partying. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we're hearing that just makes you question, hey, is she really ready for this? Is she ready for a girl like Nunes who's been active and has been ready, he's just crushed Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate's nothing to sneeze at, man. She's a good fighter. So will she be ready? I don't know, man. Like I said, a couple of years ago, this would have been a whitewash. This is a no-brainer. But now, not so much, man. This is not a gimme fight by any stretch. So we'll be looking forward to it. All right. Before we get to the fighter of the year, let's go back to the phones. 812, you are live.
Hey, what's going on, Eric, Beeb, Robbie? This is Joe from Indiana, man.
What's up, man?
Hey, Joe,
how are you?
Hey, guys. Man, Eric, that's great. I wish I would have known about that Hank Lundy fight this Friday. I would have tried to make it up, but I'm definitely going to go to the Broner fight. I'm kind of glad they moved that to the 18th.
I am too.
I'm definitely going to head out to that one. But, man, this one, I just looked online when you were talking to that person, and they got great seats available. You can get a ringside seat for $100 or it's like $250 for a VIP. So
in VIP,
I wish I could make it this Friday, but I can't, man.
Yeah, they're VIP. I guess you have access, like backstage access and everything. I guess you can meet the fighters and that kind of thing. So
yeah, it was a meet and greet plus a after party.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was like some kind of after party afterwards or whatever. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I've never seen that before. I had never seen anything like that. So I thought that was a pretty good wrinkle they put in there. So yeah, absolutely.
And that card that you tweeted me, that triple header on Showtime, Broner's card,
that's no joke.
Solid.
That's no joke.
That's gonna be solid, man.
Yeah, Russell and Charlo on there.
Whenever you find out, Eric, when those seats go on sale, let me know, man, because I'm gonna try to at least get. If I can't get floor seats, I'm gonna definitely get like Section A on level 100.
Oh yeah,
I definitely want to attend that card.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, guys. So Eric and Beeb and Robbie, is your show today? Are you kind of doing your fire of the year and fights of the year and all that?
Yeah, yeah. We'll cover. We got some news and rumors and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just checking it in, man. But yeah, besides that, though, I think 2017 for sure is going to be a better year coming up, and we got some big fights coming up. And especially I'm looking at the PBC. It's like I think it's Berto said it best. These guys got to start fighting each other now. Especially that 147 division. No more dancing around. So I really think we're going to start seeing some big marquee matches in 2017. So, and I'm really pulling for Broner. I really want him to get it together and just have a big comeback year 2017. So, but I got my stuff. But I'll just go ahead and tune in and listen in, guys. Robert, appreciate you letting me know about it today, man. So, I'm just relaxing on a Tuesday, man, listening. So
awesome.
I'll be tuning in, guys.
Awesome, man. Sounds good, man. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Good deal. All right, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about our fighters of the year here. ESPN chooses Carl Frampton as the fighter of the year, which Beeb has just went nuts for because he loves the UK. But was he really the fighter of the year? We're now here, the three of us, to decide the official fighter of the year, because it's only official when it goes through us. My candidates are Joe Smith, who had 3 fights in 2016, a second-round knockout over Fabiano Pena, a first-round KO over Andrew Fonfara, and an 8th-round destruction over Bernard Hopkins, knocking him clear out of the ring. I don't even know Bernard Hopkins has landed yet. Carl Frampton, I think you have to put him on there. He had a split decision against Scott Quigg and a majority decision against Leo Santa Cruz. And then Vasil Lomachenko, for me, Roman Martinez, a knockout in 5, and then Nicholas Walters, he stopped him in about 7 rounds. I think, for me, my fighter of the year, and it's a toss-up. It's honestly a toss-up between Joe Smith and Vasil Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko is probably the fighter of the year for me. The knockout over Roman Martinez, man, I thought Roman Martinez would put up a lot better fight than he did, and that's taking nothing away from Martinez. That's taking nothing away from Lomachenko's win over him. Lomachenko demolished him. I mean, and you're talking about a guy who came off of 2 big fights over Salido, fight of the year candidates, man, and I tell you what, he just demolished him. Nicholas Walters, you could say what you want about how, he was inactive or anything. Nobody. You may have picked Lomachenko to win. Nobody picked him to win like that. Nobody picked him to win that easy, that way. I mean, that was a complete whitewash. At no point was Walters even in that fight. So for me, I think I've got to go with Lomachenko as the fighter of the year. Carl Frampton, my argument with Carl Frampton, he had 2 big wins against Scott Quigg and Leo Santa Cruz. The problem is the Scott Quigg was a split decision. That could have went either way. The Leo Santa Cruz was a majority decision. Again, that could have went either way. So how can I give the fighter of the year to that guy who has 2 disputed wins? I can't. So that's my argument for Carl Frampton.
You don't think he won the Scott Quigg fight clearly?
It was a split decision.
I know, but
I thought he won the Scott Quigg
like
fight.
8-4.
Yeah, I thought he won the Scott Quigg fight. I thought that he pulled it out in the last round. I had it very, very close. I had him winning the first 6.
You did? Okay.
And then Scott Quigg winning I think they 5-1 on going down the stretch, because I thought Scott Quigg had really turned it on in the stretch, and that's why I picked Santa Cruz to beat him, because he just faded in that Quigg fight. In the Santa Cruz fight, I thought he won it. And I thought he won both fights, but again, I mean, split decision, majority decision, it's tough for me. What about you, Beeb? Who's your fighter of the year?
It's crazy, Eric, because we were talking about this earlier, and I actually did forget about Carl Frampton. And I was talking about Andre Ward, and I know a lot of people are going to go nuts. What are you talking about, Beeb? How could you say Andre Ward could be fighter of the year? And I'll tell you why. Because he came off that layoff, okay? And he fought the number one ranked guy, Sullivan Barrera. We just saw what Sullivan Barrera did to Shabransky.
Yeah.
And he beat Sullivan Barrera handily, okay? And then this fight with Kovalev was probably the most significant fight of the year. In terms of competitiveness, and in terms of the fight that everyone wanted to see. You can sit there and say Canelo Triple G was the fight everyone wanted to see, but the people that wanted to see that primarily wanted to see Canelo get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Triple G is heavily favored in that fight. But this was a 50-50 fight on paper. This was a fight billed as pound for pound, and a lot of people looked at it as such. And for me, you can say what you want. I thought Andre Ward won the fight. You can make a case for either guy. I know the majority of people are saying Sergey Kovalev won this fight, but there's enough people that say Andre Ward won this fight, to make an argument as well.
Yeah, he won.
I'm kind of torn between Andre Ward and Carl Frampton, because I love Carl Frampton as a fighter, and I love what he did, because he came over here when you didn't really have to. And, he made a name for himself, not only with the Santa Cruz fight, but, even with the Alejandro Gonzalez fight, other fights, he came over here and he decided that he wants to put himself out there and introduce himself time and time again to the American fans. So he's making a concerted effort to really try to become a crossover star, whether he he becomes one or not, he's making that effort. He's doing the things that need to be done to at least, put the wheels in motion for that to happen. So, you know what? I'm going to probably now, after I thought about it, I'm going to go with Carl Frampton as fighter of the year. I'm going to agree with ESPN because Carl Frampton was an underdog against Leo Santa Cruz. And Andre Ward was favored to beat Koga. There were a lot of people picked him to win before the fight. But a lot of people did not pick Carl Frampton to beat Leo Santa Cruz. And, in that fight with Scott Quigg, he was favored by a hair. And, that was basically the consensus was 50-50 on who's going to win that fight. So, and I think he had two huge wins. He unified titles. Both fights were for titles. So, yeah, I'm going to agree with ESPN, and I'm going to co-sign on that. I'm going to say Carl Frampton is the fighter of the year.
I'll tell you what, you brought up an interesting point with Andre Ward. I don't hate that at all. I mean, Alexander Brand, Sergey Kovalev, and Sullivan Barrera, 3 wins. And, Sullivan Barrera, yeah, he's not a bad fighter. He's a good fighter. Sergey Kovalev, no matter what you think, bottom line is judges said, hey, judges gave him the nod. So 3-0, not too bad. Not too bad. Robert.
Well, I can see that we're not going to have a consensus here because since I said this yesterday, I've got to stick to it. My story of the year and my fighter of the year is the common man, Mr. Joe Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, he did 2 things that he wasn't supposed to be able to do. In June, he walked into the ring against Andres Fonfora and totally destroyed him in 1 round. And the people that chose Joe Smith from Fonfora's camp had no idea who they were dealing with, obviously. And then Bernard Hopkins, in his infinite wisdom, decides, you know what? Hey, I like that choice. He talked to Dan Raphael, who, since when do you get boxing advice from the ESPN writer who doesn't know a whole lot about it? I don't agree with him half the time. But what? He goes over and he talks to Dan Raphael, and Dan Raphael says, well, you need to fight Joe Smith. He ain't no threat at all. He turned out to be the biggest threat in Bernard Hopkins' career, knocking him completely out of the ring. To me, Joe Smith has put himself on the map. He's the Rocky story of 2016, and he's already got a big fight lined up for him, at least in his area, in 2017. They're working on a deal for him to fight Shawnee Monahan on April 29th on Long Island. And that's going to be a big money fight for that area because that's where he's from. And Monahan is from that area also because he fights in the New York area. That's going to be a big fight for the New York area. And, Joe Smith, if he keeps this up, he's going to put himself on the map in that 175-pound division. And he might wind up getting a big fight if he keeps doing what he's doing. I think he had a great 2016, and he's my story of the year. And definitely fighter of the year.
Wow. Okay. Let's look at it. I mean, Fabiano Pena, Andrew Fonfara, and Bernard Hopkins, he fought 11 rounds, knocked everybody out. It's tough to go against him, man. And he was a very close second. It's tough because, you look at Roman Martinez and Nicholas Walters, who Lomachenko fought, Scott Quigg and Leo Santa Cruz, who Frampton fought. And I can make an argument that Joe Smith, everybody says, well, Hopkins was 51, blah, blah, blah. Nobody except for me had Joe Smith beating Hopkins. Nobody. That's it.
No, I picked Joe Smith also in that fight, Eric.
You copycatted me.
I think you did after Eric.
Absolutely.
Go back and listen to the tape.
I said it first.
Eric shamed you into picking him. Eric shamed you into picking him.
No.
I'm only playing, Robbie. I'm only playing.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Robert and myself are the only ones that picked Joe Smith.
Robbie.
Only ones that picked Joe Smith, man. That's it.
I like getting them going.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
But I can make a case. You can make a case, strong case for him being fighter of the year too. So Beeb takes Carl Frampton. which was pretty obvious because he's a homer and he's on the UK side. Robert takes Joe
Hey,
Smith.
look at this. Look at this. Of course I picked Cal Francis. Of course I did.
Yeah.
Robert picks Joe Smith, the common man, and I take high tech Vasyl Lomachenko. So the fighter of the year, the Ringside Reporter Fighter of the Year, as voted on with the consensus, Vasyl Lomachenko. There you go. He's Fighter of the Year.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Right.
It was unanimous. We all voted for him. That's it. Vasyl Lomachenko, Fighter of the Year.
You know what, Beeb? I was waiting for him to bring the computer out that he uses for the fantasy fights.
The computer voted for Lomachenko too.
What's the computer think?
Computer's out the pasture. Don't worry about that. So let's talk about this now. Let's talk about what fights do you hope happen in 2017. Let's start with the big one, the one that everybody talks about. And no, I'm not talking about Mayweather Pacquiao too. Let's talk about Triple G and Canelo. Do you think the fight happens in 2017?
I don't.
Wow. You know what? I don't think Oscar. I have to agree with Beeb. I don't think Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo have the cojones to step up the plate and sign the contract. I think that.
I don't know about that.
Because
$15 million offer.
Yeah.
Let me finish, Beeb. Let me finish.
Okay.
I think that he's going to make a boatload of money when he fights Chavez Jr. and that'll probably be the fight in May. And I just don't see him. Look, I hope I'm wrong because I want to see that fight. I want to see Canelo actually have to prove himself against somebody that can actually fight back. And I don't think he's really had to deal with that yet because Mayweather picked him when he was green, and he picked Cotto when Cotto was close to the end. I want to see him fight somebody in his prime. And I think he has an easy time with Chavez Jr. So I do want to see the fight happen, but something tells me that something's going to be blowing in the wind, and they're not going to have the guts to pull it off. I hope I'm wrong.
He'll end up fighting Billy Joe Saunders.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, he's ranked #1 by the WBO.
Well, yeah. I'm hearing that Billy Joe Saunders, they're negotiating, they're co-negotiating with Billy Joe Saunders and Chavez Jr. And my guess is they're gonna wind up with Billy Joe Saunders. That's just my gut feeling. I think Chavez Jr. is gonna price himself out, and I think they're gonna end up with Billy Joe Saunders there. Just my gut reaction. But now, as far as does he fight?
If that happens, if that happens, Eric, if Canelo goes and gets Billy Joe Saunders' title, which he will, do you think that he'll use that to actually draw Triple G into the ring so he could try to go after the other belts?
I think so. Well, if they were smart, I tell you what, if they were smart, if Golden Boy was smart, they would lock down the Chavez Jr. fight and they would lock down the Triple G fight, and Canelo can go home at night and sleep on a bed of money because those two fights are absolute money fights. There's no money in Billy Joe Saunders. There's no money in that at all. The two biggest money fights on the table, Canelo's a part of both of them, would be Chavez Jr. It's a huge fight in Mexico. It would be huge in Texas. It would be huge anywhere. As far as the money goes, that's a big fight, one of the biggest you can get. The other big fight will be him and Triple G. He's going to be the A side. He's going to collect godly amounts of money from that fight. I mean, why not just ride him off in the sunset there? And if he loses Triple G, so what? There's no harm done. It's not like, it's not like it's not like, I'll tell you right now, it is not like a preordained that Triple G is going to win that fight. Canelo's very good. He's a very good fighter, man. So it's not just, a conclusion.
And Eric, look at it this way. The only reason why Triple G is fighting Danny Jacobs is because Danny Jacobs is a mandatory. That's the only reason why Danny Jacobs is getting that shot at that fight. So what he's doing is he's fulfilling his mandatory. That way, no sanctioning body is going to step in the way and say, well, you have to fight this guy before you take on Alvarez. So what he's doing is he's clearing up his mandatory with Jacobs, and that leaves him completely available to actually fight Canelo. And I agree with you. Canelo is part of the two biggest fights of the year, money-wise, and he needs to take both of those fights. But something tells me that boxing politics or something is going to screw this whole thing up.
Yeah, I agree. I do think the fight comes off in September, though. I do think that the Canelo Triple G fight comes off. I think that the May fight, the Cinco de Mayo fight, will be him and Billy Joe Saunders, and then I think that sets up the Canelo Triple G fight in September. So,
okay, Beeb, why did you say no? I'm curious about your thinking there.
Because I actually think the Chavez fight does come off. And I also think the Billy Joe Saunders fight will be in September. So that's what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
I think we're going to get Chavez Jr. in May, and we're going to get Billy Joe Saunders in September. And, he doesn't really need Triple G. And I hate saying that.
No.
I hate saying that but you know what? I just don't like what's going on with this Triple G camp. I mean, $15 million. They want to sit there and compare this fight to Pacquiao Mayweather.
it's not.
But Triple G is no way near what Pacquiao is. In terms of a draw. He's not even on the same stratosphere. And this was a fight. Let's not forget Pacquiao and Mayweather. Like, everybody and their brother knew about this fight. Like, people would walk up to me and ask me about this fight that didn't even watch the sport. Okay? People at my job that were football fans were saying, hey, when's this Pacquiao Mayweather fight going to happen? Nobody's asking me when this Canelo Triple G fight's going to happen, except for, real, diehard boxing fans. No casual fan is asking me about this fight. So Canelo has crossed over because he fought Mayweather a little bit. So, I mean, he definitely has a shot to become, the next best thing or the closest thing to Mayweather. I think he'll right now he's past Pacquiao. But if Mayweather were to come back, I still think Mayweather would definitely be the man. But at least, Canelo is that man while Mayweather is gone. There's no question about it. He's the biggest draw in the sport. Triple G is not. Because you could look at Anthony Joshua. He's a bigger draw than Triple G. All these other fighters that are doing very well in the UK as well. Tyson Fury, when he was boxing, he was drawn. Kyle Froch, when he was boxing, look what he did. I don't think Triple G will ever sell out an 80,000 seat stadium. I know Anthony Joshua will. I know Tyson Fury will. I know Vladimir Klitschko will. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Triple G will. So it is what it is. I know people don't want to hear it, but the truth is the truth. It's not how good of a fighter you are. It's a lot of other factors that play into that. You know what I'm saying? How much seats you can draw. Your image. Canelo has that look. He's got that persona in Mexico. He's got a whole country behind him. And he's got the state of California and the state of Las Vegas and the state of Texas behind him. 3 gigantic states. And, in the United States that are, have a large Hispanic community. Excuse me, I have a horrible cold. And Triple G just doesn't have that. He just doesn't have that. So for him to even think that he can really negotiate with Canelo and try to, gain any leverage over him is ridiculous. So take the $15 million and run. Simple and plain.
I agree. Let me switch gears here. Let me ask you about this now. Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, they're going to fight next year. Do you think that, because there's a lot of speculation going on now that Khan and Brook are going to fight, Khan and Kell Brook are going to fight. If that's the case, maybe he takes some step-aside money. And long story short, do you think that Errol Spence Jr. will fight Keith Thurman or Danny Garcia next year?
Aerospace, should you keep everything I said? No, I don't. And it's sad that I have to say this as well. I just don't see it happening. Because Danny Garcia can fight other fighters. You know what I mean? He can fight other fighters. You know, if Danny Garcia beats Keith Thurman, guess what? I think he'll fight the winner of Kell Brook and Amir Khan. I really believe that.
Wow,
I think
that's
that'll
a
be
good
a
fight.
huge fight.
Yeah, that's a huge fight. Yeah.
But Earl Spence is Brooks mandatory. So how does he get around that?
There's a little thing in boxing called step aside, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
If they throw Brooks if they throw Brooks like $500K to step aside, or even $300K to step aside, think about it. That's free money right there. You don't even have to throw a punch. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Peter Washington in the chat just said Spence will probably take the Bradley fight, Tim Bradley, because they that's been mandated. I'm not so sure Bradley takes that fight. I think that's the other part of that.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure Bradley takes that fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, man, I don't know.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the phones. 915. I believe this is El Paso. 915. You're on. You're live. 915.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
Going once, twice. 915.
What's going on, guys? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah. How are you?
Yes.
All right. So here I am. This is Eric from El Paso, a.k.a. D-Style Boxing. What's up?
D-Style. How are you?
It's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. Just listening to the show and great conversation here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So
I wanted to just mention something as far as Canelo versus Chavez Jr. I do understand that the fight that it's going to make money. I just don't think it's going to be as big as people think it is.
Really?
I think the way Chavez has been exposed, and I don't think it would. I don't think it does over 400,000 buys, to be honest.
That's still pretty good, especially given everybody's pay-per-view rate and everything like that, and the pay-per-view rates that have been dropping and that kind of thing. 400,000 would be huge. I mean, what was it? What did Ward and Kovalev get? Yeah, what was it? 150 or something like that? What even?
They only got 200,000, Eric.
I didn't even think it was that high. Yeah. So, and that was pretty major.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I threw that figure out there, but I'm just saying I don't think it would go above that. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it will make that, but I don't. Given I think it'll have more of a negative effect on boxing than positive. All that's going to do is remind people, that's why I stopped watching the sport.
Right.
Because instead of getting the fights we want, we're getting fights like that. It's a circus fight to me.
Let me ask you a question.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead, Beeb.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eric Water. There's two Erics there now. We're going to get a little confused. But Eric Anaya, my brother from another mother. Let me ask you this: what do you think Triple G and Canelo would do? Do you think that would do over $1 million? Do you think it would do 1.5, or do you think that fight's being billed as maybe being bigger than it actually is?
Look, man. I think what happens with us boxing fans, we live in a bubble, and a lot of these guys they're larger than life to us. But the reality is, people know who Triple G is, but not to that effect. More people know who Miguel Cotto is. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
So the Cotto fight, and that's a Mexican-Puerto Rican rivalry fight on top of that, all right? And it was put in, I believe, November. And it didn't do $1 million buys. It did in the 900,000 range. I think Triple G versus Canelo, it's flirting with $1 million buys. I don't think it goes above it, though, to be honest. I just don't think it goes above that.
But you think it does better than a Chavez fight would?
Definitely. It definitely.
Okay.
It's not only does it do better, it makes the sport look good. It breaks all stereotypes about the sport.
I agree with that.
Because the sport, it has a. I think as hardcore boxing fans, sometimes the way we think is, well, look, this is going to attract the casuals, but you don't want to attract the casuals with circus fights. And at the end of the day, what is a casual fan going to get out of Chavez versus Canelo after that fight is over, other than just feeling ripped off and feeling, what the hell did I just watch? It might end up being a great fight, but, I mean, what weight are they going to do this in realistically? Chavez hasn't fought at 160 in how many years now? I don't believe Canelo's going to really sign to fight him at a weight that's going to make Chavez feel comfortable. Chavez is not a ranked fighter. Even amongst a lot of Hispanics around here, what I keep hearing is, why is he fighting Chavez? Like, is Chavez still fighting for real? Why doesn't he fight Triple G? That's going to be the question people are going to ask themselves. And it has a more negative effect than it does a positive effect. And it doesn't really create any return customers for boxing, which is what we need right now. So Kovalev Ward, yeah, it didn't do that good, but at the end of the day, the bar where I saw the fight, people enjoyed it. You know, I mean, they were having a fun time, and they actually are looking forward to the rematch if it were to happen. You know, so you're going to attract people back to the sport that way when you make legitimate fights. You know, and I just don't think the sport could sell out, make these circus fights. Fights like Chavez versus Canelo, to me, it's part of a bigger problem with boxing that I think the sport needs to get away from, to be honest.
See, that's the problem I have with Golden Boy. With Canelo, they seem to be going after the money situation and not who he's actually going to be fighting, because he still has not had a legitimate fight at the middleweight weight. If you're going to fight somebody in May, because let's face it, Canelo wants to take over the Mexican holidays. So if you're going to fight somebody in May, you want to fight somebody legitimately who is a middleweight to see how you can handle being at that weight instead of making these. I heard the Chavez thing was supposed to be, 164, 165, and he hasn't even been above 155 yet. So we need to see him actually in the ring with the legitimate middleweight to see how he handles the weight. Because when you fight Triple G, you're going to have to be able to deal with a 160-pound middleweight person. So I think the Chavez thing could be a circus, but I also see the boxing politics messing this whole scenario up for Triple G. Somebody going to do something somewhere along the line where this fight won't happen, and that's the problem with our sport. That's one of the biggest fights that needs to happen, but I get the feeling that somebody or something is going to get in the way.
Interesting. D-Style, let me ask you, as far as fights in 2017, what would you like to see? Do you think, let me ask you this to start off with, do you think there'll be an Andre Ward-Sergey Kovalev rematch? Do you think that rematch happens in 2017, or do you think Ward takes the belts and goes in a different direction?
I think, I don't know if it'll happen in 2017, but I do believe the rematch will happen eventually. But I don't know if it's going to happen next year, though, just because of the language that I'm hearing from both fighters, actually. But when Ward says things like, you know, I don't need to have the rematch, or, you know, I got to talk to my team, it sounds like they're still trying to negotiate stuff there, you know, so that's going to prolong the fight from happening. So it's going to happen in 2017. I have no idea.
Wow. Very good. What fights, who is your fighter of the year?
My fighter of the year, it's like a strange year because no guy, to be honest, is really standing out.
Right.
You know, but if I got to give it to somebody, I mean, you have Lomachenko up there, Carl Frampton up there. Either one of those guys. I'm not thrilled at the fact that Frampton avoided that Rigondeaux fight, but I mean, we could just rate him amongst his peers. Amongst his peers, he's right up. He's up there. So
very good.
But it was a strange year, though. Like no fighters really sticking out to me.
No, it was not like. It really was. I mean, they were fighting twice. You know, you have most of them fighting twice. Joe Smith, of course, fought 3 times. Ward fought 3 times, but not many with 3 fights. Yeah, which was. You know, and Terrence Crawford, of course, had 3 fights. That was the other thing, too. I thought I saw a lot of people trying to push Terrence Crawford. And Robert, I know you know something about this, too, is that a lot of people try to push Terrence Crawford a lot of the writers and stuff. And he made HBO, I know, was pushing him for Fighter of the Year. I don't even put him in the conversation based on his level of competition. I mean, he had Pistol, and that was pretty much it. I mean, Hank Lundy, Pistol, and who was the last one he fought?
John Molina.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give him Fighter of the Year based on that.
Yeah.
No way.
No.
I mean, and to be honest, it kind of tells the story of where boxing was at in 2016.
Yeah.
Like, no one really did something, you know? I mean, maybe Tyson Fury, he would have had the rematch with Klitschko, you know, maybe he would have wanted.
Another thing to consider here, guys, in 2017 so far, Showtime is the network for boxing, because other than January 28th, other than that, all of HBO's shows so far that are scheduled, they're pay-per-view. You know, so it looks like if you're not going to purchase pay-per-view fights, it looks like your network of choice in 2017 is going to be Showtime. It looks like they haven't officially said so, but it kind of looks like HBO is getting out of the boxing business. I mean, look at the schedule. Showtime's already got a bunch of things scheduled. HBO, unless it's pay-per-view, you don't have much.
You know, though, I tell you, though.
Well, you know, just really quick here.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to just say something real quick about HBO, but that's a good point. If you go back to 1999, it's real quick. Back in 1999, their boxing budget was $120 million a year. If you were to factor in inflation, that would equate to $170 million today. Their boxing budget today is less than $30 million. So what they're investing in boxing is far less to what they were investing, you know, 2 decades ago, for sure.
Yeah, let me ask you guys. Let me ask you guys here, because, you know, and everybody is rags on HBO boxing and everything, but do you find that the better matchups are on HBO? The fights that you actually want to see?
Not really.
Really?
I thought Showtime gave us some great fights. I wanted to see Frampton, Santa Cruz. I wanted to see Mares, Santa Cruz. You know, Deontay Wilder hasn't really been in great fights, but you know, the super middleweights like James DeGale, and you know, he's been in some good fights. Bute, you know, Durrell last year or whatever, and Danny Garcia. He hasn't been in great fights. But what about Sean Porter versus Keith Thurman? That was a great fight on paper, and it turned out to be a really good fight. And some people thought it was fight of the year.
That was on CBS.
Yeah, but it's still PBC.
You know,
it's all under the Showtime. Yeah,
it's under the same umbrella.
Right.
Yeah, it's under the same umbrella, kind of.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right.
And that's the thing. Showtime is expanded. They started using CBS. You know, and I think the PBC. I honestly, I think a lot of other entities. I think a lot of other networks and promoters and stuff. I think they're realizing that they can't compete with PBC in terms of volume of fights. So I think HBO realized they cannot, because they lost a lot of fighters to Heyman, because Heyman stopped putting his fighters on HBO for the most part. Very, very few Heyman fighters are on HBO right now. They're on Showtime and they're on the other networks. So I just don't think. I think HBO burnt bridges. You know, they burnt bridges with Golden Boy for a little while. Now they're burning bridges with Top Rank, sort of, kinda, and they burnt bridges with Al Heyman. So I just think that a lot of these promoters have decided to take another route. And because of that, HBO does not have the amount of fighters, and they don't have the same amount of fights that Showtime has and that these other networks have. So I think that they did it to themselves, and I'm not sure if it was more of a personal thing with them or it was a business thing with them. But all I know is they weren't happy what was going on with Al Heyman. But you know, they did pay Berto those $1 million purses, and they made it have purses where he was fighting guys like Carlos Quintana and the likes. So, you know, and Chad Dawson was fighting, you know, Glenn Johnson, and you know, and he was fighting, you know, what's his name there, Antonio Tarver, and they were paying him millions of dollars to do that. So they made some bad decisions. So they have no one to blame but themselves. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, their fighters have pretty much disappeared. I was wondering if you're going to see any Heyman fighters on HBO, and I don't think it's out of the question. But I think their budget, like you said, D-Style said, their budget is so low that they're very limited on what they can put on. I mean, they really are. And
yeah, I mean, Showtime's got. Who would have said this 10 years ago? But Showtime now has a bigger boxing budget than HBO. I mean, and so far, all of Showtime's fights have been on regular Showtime or one of the other stations. If HBO can't afford a fight now, they have to stick it on pay-per-view.
Well, that's the other interesting thing. That's the other interesting thing is that there's been no pay-per-view at all from Showtime. None, and HBO is putting on Cotto and Kirkland. You serious? I mean, are we putting that fight on pay-per-view? I can't. That one is a hard one to stomach, man.
Well, this is another thing too. It seems like everyone else is looking to the future and they're coming up with new, fresh ideas, and HBO is still stuck in that pay-per-view model. And I think that pay-per-view model is going away. And even Floyd Mayweather in his last fight against Andre Berto, he did significantly less than he normally does. And I think even if he came back, unless he fought like a Conor McGregor, or I don't know. I don't think if he came back, he would still do the same numbers that he once did, because again, the market is so diluted now, and we're so used to getting fights on regular TV, and because we've been burned in the past, there's still going to be that bad aftertaste in a lot of people's mouths for that Pacquiao fight, because they paid a lot of money for it and they weren't happy for it, so they still have buyer's remorse for that. And I think they blame Mayweather more so than Pacquiao, because he's the bad guy in boxing. So I think even if he came back, unless he fought someone like a Conor McGregor, where they can cross over and get UFC fans as well as boxing fans as well as casual fans, I don't think he could do those numbers that he once did. So I think this pay-per-view market is starting to go away, and I think boxing has changed as a whole.
And see, that's the problem. HBO is using pay-per-view to subsidize their boxing content. And if you're an HBO subscriber and you buy it for boxing, your options are extremely limited. If you're going to subscribe to any channel now for boxing, it's going to be the Showtime family of networks, because they're obviously, look at their schedule. They've got fights in January, February, March, and they have no pay-per-view fights scheduled. HBO has the potential of having all the pay-per-view fights this year. They're already going to have the Cotto and Kirkland, and they've already got scheduled the Triple G Jacobs fight. Now that's a good fight, but you could have Canelo Chavez. You could have Kovalev Ward if they come to the table, and then you could have Canelo and Triple G. So it looks like all the pay-per-view fights that might happen in 2017, all of them are going to be on the HBO side of the street. And as far as regular HBO boxing, other than January 28th, you don't have much.
Yeah, I agree. D-Style, before we get out of here, you have a YouTube channel, right? You have a YouTube channel, is that correct?
That is correct. It's D-Style Boxing.
D-Style Boxing, and then do you have a Twitter handle?
Not active in it right now. So.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, man, go check out
me on YouTube.
Yeah, go check out D-Style Boxing on YouTube, man, and go support this guy, all right? All right, man, we appreciate the call. Thank you for supporting us, and we will support you in turn.
Good talk, guys.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go. Good call, man. Good call. All right, let's go to the 508. 508, you are live.
Georgie Porgy.
Hey, yo, what's going on, guys?
What's happening, man?
Georgie.
We all know who Georgie's fighting.
From this day, you'll be my new fool.
It's definitely Andre Ward. You know, Georgie Porgy's got Andre Ward for Fighter of the Year.
Oh, you know that. That's my guy right there.
Yeah, right.
Listen, let me talk about what D-Star was saying for a minute there. So he was saying that if we having Canelo against Chavez Jr., that the fans, let me see if I got him straight, that the fans will not be happy. That's what he was saying.
That's right.
Yes.
That's what he was saying. Yep.
Yeah.
I might have to disagree with him. Because this is the situation here. As a boxing fans, we appreciate a brawl.
Yeah.
We appreciate, not everybody like the Rigondeaux. That's what Rigondeaux don't sell. It's bad enough the Cuban don't get the support that they need here in the States. The man style is not appreciated by, by the common fan. I'm not talking about casual fan. I'm talking about the common fan. Like, I consider myself a boxing fan, not a hardcore. So we appreciate these bros. If you got Probovnikos, right, fighting Molina, that will sell every day. They're gonna sell regardless, because people know what they're gonna see. So it's the same situation with Chavez and Canelo. Canelo is a pay-per-view cash cow, and Chavez Jr. can do real good numbers with the Mexican people. That's proven. So I mean, it's that train wreck that everybody want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to watch it. I'm not expecting nothing out of this world, but I know it's gonna be two guys throwing down.
Yeah.
So on that regard, I disagree with the man. I think we will do great numbers. I don't see why that will flop, even if it's in pay-per-view. Regardless, I will watch it. So that's for that. I would like to talk about Thurman going against Garcia, because that day I think Andrew Garcia gonna put Danny Garcia. This is Keith Thurman fight to lose. It's not Danny Garcia to win. If Keith Thurman plays safe, the way the only thing Danny do is after the 4th, 5th round, he change speed on you. That's what he do. He make you think that he only got one speed, and all of a sudden you see these fast combos coming back at you. So he's really deceiving with speed. He changed it real good and get people, get into his rhythm until he's unleashed that speed and they don't expect it. But every time he unleashes his speed, he's always flat-footed. So I can see Thurman, like he said, he's a real 147. That dude can compete 154 with the Laris of the world and the Charlotte. He really wants to. So I think Angel Garcia is going to see him throwing the towel, because he's not. He just got to hit on his eyeball. That's it. Don't even hit a body work, none of that. Just hit that man on his eyeball. 1-2 move all night, and he should be done. So I don't know, Angel Garcia. Just throw the towel. Don't put your man. Don't put your kids' eyesight in jeopardy. Just throw the towel, buddy. But that's what's going to happen there. And I want to support you guys, because you guys doing this for free all the time, giving us a great show. Beautiful. I mean, we can't expect anything more. And everybody out there watching this show, just give that thumb up.
I appreciate that,
Thanks,
man.
Georgie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, anybody in the chat, or if you hear this after the fact, man, if you like what we're doing, if we're entertaining to you, again, man, we don't ask you for anything. We work for a living, so we don't. We do this because we like boxing and we want to entertain you guys, man. So if you guys can hit the thumbs up for us, man, or just go to YouTube or iTunes, subscribe to Beeb's channel, beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. Go to YouTube or iTunes and subscribe to ringsidereporter.com, or get our podcast, man, and we would definitely appreciate it, man, for sure.
Awesome.
Hey, yo, Beeb, before I go, Beeb, when you going to take me out to it, buddy?
We want me to take you out? Yeah, man.
I haven't forgot.
I'll take you to
your work.
I'll take you to my favorite place, the Texas Roadhouse. We'll get some steaks, nice baked potato.
I'm a vegetarian, buddy. I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, okay. So we'll get you some nice potatoes and.
They got salads there too. Yeah, they got salads there too.
Yeah, you give me a nice salad. You eat fish?
No, not either. Try to get away from all that.
He's a vegan, man. He's like a straight up vegan, man. So you gotta find a vegan spot for him.
Beeb is the fish's counterpart. He eats anything that has a face.
Hey, that's on you, buddy. But listen, Beeb, who you got on that fight between Danny Garcia and Thurman? You have a pick already, no?
You know what? I kind of like Thurman in this fight, but one thing that's kind of making me think a little bit is the body work that Danny Garcia has. And I don't like how Keith Thurman reacted. even against Porter when he was getting into the body.
He doesn't like it.
You know, I can't forget that Collazo fight. I can't forget even the Diego Chavez fight early on. And Danny's tough. So if Keith can't hurt Danny, and Danny keeps coming forward, and Danny closes that gap, I'm going to pick Thurman. I'm going to pick Thurman, but I'm not 100% safe with that pick. I can see it. Go ahead.
Because if you see the body work that Porter put on Thurman, even though he got him against the ropes here and there, I don't think Danny's as physical. Like he said, he's flat-footed. I don't see Danny coming forward, putting his feet down and punch with power and Thurman not be able to move away. I don't see that happening ever. I don't think Danny at full work going to get him that close to Thurman.
Yeah, and plus, you know, you make a good point because Danny's more of a mid-range guy, whereas Sean likes to go deep inside the pocket. Danny kind of likes to go in the mid-range area. So even when he's throwing his body shots, he doesn't go all the way in. He's throwing with the mid-range hook to the body. So
he still have plenty of time to get out of there.
Yeah, so and you could argue that Sean Porter has much quicker feet than Danny does. Because I think Sean Porter's foot speed is very underrated. And obviously, you know, he showed it in the Thurman fight because he was able to catch up to him and trap him against the ropes on a lot of occasions.
And still he survived. And still Thurman didn't look that hurt. So
yeah, he hung in there. He hung in there tough. So yeah, I'm gonna lean towards Thurman, but you know, I think Danny can still punch, and I think he, you know, if he hits him right, he could change the fight. So that's a possibility, but I'm still gonna lean towards Thurman in the fight. I'm gonna pick Thurman.
I can't wait for the Vegas odds to come in to see who they got ahead. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Thurman may be the slight favorite, but
yeah,
it's
gonna be close.
He may be 2-1, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be
I would like to talk real quick also on the Santa Cruz Phantom fight.
Yeah,
I would like to say that I think this mafia setting up a rubber match. I can see Phantom pulling another close victory and getting robbed. I swear to God, guys. I'm telling you from now. Just put it there for the record. Just want to make it official. I mean, what do you think? You think it's
just like the Mafia was supposed to set up the Kovalev fight?
Georgie thinks he's like, Georgie acts like, he's acting like Elliot Ness here, man.
He's connected.
There you go.
Hey, listen, people. These people have been proven to be reptilians all the way. They got no empathy for humanity. They have to rob you over and over. So you can't pass anything by them. But great show, guys. I know you got more callers on the line. I know Corey's there, so I want no problems. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Corey got Georgie shook. What's up with that?
I know. I didn't even see Corey on the line here. I could be wrong here. But
Nothing like bringing Michael Corleone into the boxing business, huh?
Well, that's what he said last time. That's what he said last time. That he said that if Kovalev reaches the final bell, he's getting the decision because the KGB and the Russian mafia and everybody were there.
Oh my God!
I know. It's great.
9.
We have a wrong on that one, huh?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no doubt, man. 970. You are live.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Hand wraps. What's going on?
Hand wraps. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? What up, baby?
Hey, man. I hope you guys had a good Christmas. Happy New Year's.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
y'all.
Thanks.
Awesome. You too as well, brother. I had a great Christmas.
Awesome. Great. Anyways, hey, Beeb, man, we on point, man. I'm agreeing with you all the way tonight, man. We back. We good, baby. I got a bone to pick with Robbie though over here talking about Canelo ain't got no cojones, you know.
Hey,
we was born ready, baby. Come on.
All right.
You heard him.
Hey, well, let's see Cinnamon actually sign the contract. That's what I want to see.
Robbie's always down at Canelo, down at BN Sports. Yeah, he's got $15 million.
Yeah,
$15 million they offered him, wasn't it? That was the number I read. $15 million.
I know.
15 bills.
$15 million he turned down, Robbie.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know Hey, I don't know what's up with that. I mean, you're stupid if you turn that down. I didn't hear that, but if that's the case, that's dumb.
But you know what? You know what it was?
I mean, that's your boy. That's your boy.
You know what? I bet you any money it was. It was a flat 15.
Hey.
It was a flat 15, so he doesn't get any kind of the pay-per-view or anything like that. So I bet you any money that's the way it goes.
So in other words, Canelo pulled what Mayweather tried to pull with Pacquiao when he offered him 40 minutes, right?
And I don't know for sure.
But
I don't know for sure, but I think that's probably what it is.
It's not Pacquiao.
No, that's a big payday for him. Big payday.
Beeb, I never said he was. I never said he was.
But he's not in that same position, brother.
No,
that Pacquiao was in.
I didn't say he was.
Let hand reps preach now.
Go ahead, hand reps.
He's on a roll.
Yeah,
I love this guy.
It's good to see that you're on the Canelo boat now. You know, that was the one thing I always held against you too, because you even gave you giving everybody a chance against Canelo.
I know, man.
He picked Khan.
I had the guy 7-11 beating Canelo. I had the guy 7-11 beating Canelo. Remember that?
Yeah, you were giving fucking Amir Khan a chance to beat Canelo.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I remember that shit. It's all good, though. It's good to see you. We got room on the boat. A lot of people have the boat. You know, we got room on the boat, so come on over.
I had the guy at Target beating Canelo, too, man. The guy at Target.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liam Smith beating Canelo.
Tell you what, though. If I was Canelo, I'd take that Chavez fight. You know why? Because that's easy pickings.
Yep.
It's easy pickings. It's 4 pay-per-view buys, then Triple G. You got all leverage over him. And on top of it, when you actually be the first one to connect a sweet counterpunch on that impeccable chin that Chavez Sr. and Chavez Jr. have both proven to have, when you're the first one to knock out an actual Chavez and last name at 165 pounds, everybody's going to know that you are at the weight, that you are ready for this Triple G. And I promise you, if Triple G wasn't sweating before, he's going to be sweating now. And that shit gives him all the leverage. So I know that Robbie and all the hipsters, I don't consider myself I like what Georgie said. I'm a boxing fan, you know. I like boxing. I don't want to act like I'm Mr. Know-It-All. But if I was him, that fight, whether it's in Mexico, in fucking, I don't care, Texas, that's a way bigger fight than Triple G. I'm Mexican, and I'm going to tell you what, all of my friends who look to me for advice in boxing, and I tell them, this Triple G guy, man, that's the guy who Canelo's got to watch for, right? They've all been coming up to me going, oh, why is Canelo scared of this guy? What's going on? And the moment that Chavez's last name was brought up, Canelo versus Chavez, they don't give 2 fucks about Triple G fight no more. They want to see that Chavez fight. They're like, damn, that would be huge for Mexico. I'd buy that shit tomorrow if that shit was on. So I'm telling you, it's a bigger fight for Canelo. I think it's actually an easy pickings, and it would do huge, man. I mean, you know what you guys were touching on earlier is boxing and how much pay-per-views it would do. And, you know, considering Mayweather's last fight, what did he do, 6, 7, something like that?
His last fight against Berto was right around 3.
Yeah, man. I mean, he took
the
game to another level, you know. He took the game to a level where we've never seen pay-per-views like that. And it was because of the style he had, which I appreciate it. A lot of people, my Mexican buddies, hate Mayweather, and they'd buy another Mayweather fight today just because they want to see somebody still knock his ass out. But that's the only reason why. Because he ran around the ring, you know. He never wanted to stand there and make the fights. And when he did, they weren't giving him any credit for it. So in reality, he took the boxing stock to his highest. He sold. He cashed out. He's gone. The only way that shit happens again is if he like you guys said, he fights McGregor or some dumb shit like that. So,
it's going to have to be a gimmick fight, yeah.
The stock is done. He cashed out. And unless we get another chicken shit runner who's going to run around the ring and protect his fucking record, which I don't really see happening unless Crawford decides to start taking that route. But I see a lot of these young fighters coming forward. Lomachenko, I see Triple G. Everybody's not following the Mayweather, dancing, trying to protect your record. They're coming out and knocking people out. Joshua, all these undefeated, top-notch fighters are come-forward fighters. I love it. I think that's good for the sport. But I don't know what that's going to do for pay-per-views, man. I don't know.
Go ahead, Refs.
UFC. Go ahead, bro.
I want to let you know one thing, because I know you guys see me wearing the UK shirt all the time, but I'm also going to buy a sombrero, because now I'm on the Canelo train right now. I'm riding with Canelo right now.
Beeb is now one of us.
They put the 15 million up. They put the 15 million up, and then this Triple G said no. So I'm going to start wearing a sombrero now.
They don't even know they could make that, man. They don't even know if they can make. He ain't gonna make that 15 million back, man. Come on, man.
No. There's no way. So I got the sombrero. I ordered it already on Amazon, and I'm gonna be wearing it with this my Union Jack shirt from now on, man.
Beeps like come to the light.
That's an awesome superhero right there. That's what I do.
Very good, man. Very good.
Yeah. All right, player.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, you. I wish you guys a happy new year.
See you later. Yeah.
And
one of the best calls we have. Pretty smart guy, too.
And hand wraps, incidentally, hand wraps, I don't know if you heard him or not. When we asked him earlier in the conversation who he thought fighter of the year was, he totally agreed with me. Vasyl Lomachenko. Unbelievable. So there you go. It's completely unanimous across the board. He said Vasyl Lomachenko. Right. He said Vasyl Lomachenko. Right? That's what he said.
He said Canelo was the fighter of the year, actually.
Vasyl Lomachenko, Canelo, it's all the same. So there you go. All right. Let's move on to our news and rumors here. First things first here, man. Is anybody not ready for 2016 to end? What a lousy year, man. Prince, George Michael, and today, Princess Leia, a.k.a. Carrie Fisher. What in the world, man? I was sitting there. Was it Christmas when we heard about George Michael? Man.
Yep.
Him, Prince, and then today, man, Carrie Fisher, man, Princess Leia.
I'm devastated.
Yeah,
I am devastated right now, man. You don't really realize I'm in a lot of pain right now.
Unreal.
Yeah,
man.
no, we've lost a lot of good people this year.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I'm in a lot of pain right now, man.
For which? I
mean,
for who? Which one hit you the hardest? I thought, Prince really hit me hard because you kind of grew up with Prince. George Michael's another one that hit you hard, but Carrie Fisher, man, that was Princess Leia. I mean, you watched her from the time you were like coming up, man. Yeah, right. So that was a tough one, man.
I mean, we had two more movies, man. 2 more movies to go, too, man. And she was going to be supposed to be in both of them, man.
Wow.
You know what else? When you start hearing that song right around this time, last Christmas you gave me a heart.
Oh yeah, man.
That destroys. You hear that being played, that destroys you. That destroys you.
Yeah. It's man, he was such a good singer too, man. George Michael was the man, boy. Remember back in the 80s?
He had a great voice.
Oh, wow. He was like the man back in the 80s. I mean, that guy he had all the song and
never gonna dance again.
That's right.
I got no rhythm. This guy had pipes, baby.
Oh, he
was
like awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, he was just, he was an incredible singer, man. Him, Prince, and Carrie Fisher, man. Gene Wilder, Muhammad Ali, Aaron Pryor.
Right now.
Goodness, man. Get out of here 2016. I'm ready for the new year already. That's for sure. Yeah, Robert, what'd you think when you heard the Carrie Fisher thing?
We suffered. Oh, man. I'm going to say I was surprised, but last week I read that where she was on a plane coming from London to LA and she had a heart attack, while the plane was in the air. So I knew her health wasn't good after that point, but I was just shocked that, she's no longer here, man. Because I grew up with Star Wars, man. I've seen all those movies.
Well, what was crazy is that, like
How
they said.
How old were you, Robbie, when the first Star Wars came out?
It was 79 when it first came out, right?
12.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 12.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
The first one came out in 77. I thought I was going to be 13 that year.
Wow.
That was the same year my dad died, so that was a tough year for me.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Tough, man.
77. How old was the Beeb? Beeb, I think, was born in 69. Beeb was 8 years old.
Yeah.
He was 8 years old when he saw the first Star Wars.
Yeah.
Wow. I was 4. I was 4 years old in 77.
4 years old.
I was 4. I was a young pup.
I remember going to the theaters watching Star Wars for the first time. I remember that.
I remember it too.
So
yeah.
do I, man. So do I.
Man, just a shame, man. I did hear she wrapped on the second Star Wars. So the one that's coming out next, I heard that she actually finished filming and she actually wrapped on it. So, for whatever that's worth, I don't know how they're going to play that out though. But
yeah,
we'll see. Sad, very sad. R2D2 died. The guy who played R2D2, yeah, he passed away too. Unbelievable. Just 2016 has been horrible. But
horrible.
But fear not, because 2017 is just around the corner, and one of the biggest fights that can possibly be made will happen on February 25th, 2017.
Oh yeah,
when 5-time world champion Miguel Cotto returns to the ring to take on James Kirkland in Texas on pay-per-view. On pay-per-view. I will repeat that. On pay-per-view.
I am buying that one.
Wow. Could 2017 start off on any more of a downer note than that? My God.
Tyson Fury's coming back, though. Tyson Fury's back in 2000.
I heard April or May. He wants to be back by April or May, pending he passes his drug test and everything like that. Yeah, how about that?
And he's been talking to the Bronx Bomber. Yeah, we got that fight coming, Daddy. UK's coming back in 2017. Eddie Hearn, where are you, Daddy? Eddie Hearn.
He doesn't even promote him. I
know. Anthony Joshua, too.
Anthony Joshua, yeah. Deontay Wilder came out and said that he wants Joshua, the Joshua Klitschko winner, as soon as possible. I'm like, you should have picked up you should have just picked up Klitschko when you had him, because you could have easily had that fight, and he just didn't do it. And now Anthony Joshua's dance card's filled. He's got Klitschko. After that, he's going to have a mandatory, and then he could probably pick up Joseph Parker if Parker still has the title. So yeah, that's just a pipe dream.
Do you want to know how great Eddie Hearn is?
Oh my God! Here we go.
Sure.
He's got a Rolodex. He's got a Rolodex of fights already lined up for Anthony Joshua. This guy's got his schedule set for 2020 with fights. How great Eddie Hearn is. The best in the business by far. Oh my God, Eddie Hearn. Let's go, Eddie. Yeah.
Eddie is such a wank, and he lets the biggest fights fall through.
Oh, come on.
He puts his fighters in jeopardy. He puts his fighters on jeopardy. Look at your boy, Kell Brook. Look at your boy, Kell Brook, got his eye socket broken by Triple G. Come on, man. Get out of here.
Eddie tried to talk him out of it. Eddie made the fight.
Eddie tried to get him to take the fight because that was his only option left.
Tried to talk him out of it. He tried to talk him out of it.
Get out of here.
Jesse Vargas went and signed the contract. He was left.
Hey, while we're talking UK, while we're talking UK, since Beeb is on this kick, what about Klitschko and Joshua selling 50,000 tickets in 2 minutes?
Well, it was a little bit longer than that.
Honestly,
but yeah, it was quick.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
You want to know why that happened?
Why?
Eddie Hearn is the greatest promoter in the sport today. 80,000 for
He's a fucking mental case, is what he is.
George Groves. You had people hanging from the rafters in that stadium. Wait a minute, there's no rafters in the stadium. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But anyway, 80,000 people. 80,000. And now we're going to have 100,000 for Joshua Klitschko. You can't beat this.
No, you know what? That might turn out the mental case is what he is. That's right. You know what? That might turn out to be the biggest event of the year as far as attendance-wise. Think about it, guys.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't know.
This thing's going to be bigger than the.
Let me tell you.
Bigger than the World Cup. It's going to be bigger than the World Cup.
Let me tell you this: with Triple G and Canelo, if that takes place in Texas Stadium, that will beat, because Eddie Hearn is only allowed to sell 90,000 tickets.
Second place.
90,000.
It'll be second place.
Yeah, not in pay-per-views and everything like that. There's no way.
Yeah, well, that's my point, Eric. He'll be in a 90,000 seat stadium, and I believe the most that Cowboy Stadium can hold with the added seats would be 100, I believe.
Yeah, $100,000, man. Eddie Hearn is playing small-time ball, boy. He's playing catch-up ball.
He's the best of all time.
He's playing Triple A.
Sky Sports, babe. You can't.
He's not even playing. He's playing Double A, son.
Stop us.
He's playing Double A ball. He ain't even. That wank isn't even close. Not even close.
Oh wow!
I'm telling you, you're blowing your chances of getting credentials. I was going to with me.
You were gonna bring me over there with you.
Hey, Joe, do you have a valid passport? Because I do.
Yeah.
Do you really?
I'm ready to go.
You got a passport. Look at Robert. Look at Robert. Robert's a man of leisure, man. He's got passports. The Lebanese. Did you say the Lebanese prince?
I'm glad to go to London. You want to go, Beeb?
You forget that Beeb once had a security clearance. He's a veteran. He did 3 years in the military. You don't realize what the Beeb's extensive background entails.
The Beeb, man. A man of many faces. Man of many faces.
All right.
I'd be glad to go over there and cover that fight with the Beeb, man.
Absolutely.
Robbie, I don't know. You better start, saying some good things about Eddie Hearn, because you've been a little negative too. You've been a little negative too.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. I'll give him praise when it's warranted, okay?
Oh. 50,000 tickets were sold in the first period. Now the way it works, there's a second period of it where it's let's see here, on January 16th they're going to release more tickets.
Okay.
He has permission. Hearn has permission to sell 80,000 tickets, and will request another 10,000 on top of that. So the fight's going to be pretty big in the UK. If he sells 80,000, I don't see any reason that he's not going to sell the other. They won't give him the other 10. So it just makes sense.
That's right.
All right, so let's talk about this is funny. Everybody knows that Povetkin failed his drug test, and that's why Berbain Stavern pulled out. Don King wants Alexander Povetkin, or he wants Berbain Stavern to become the WBC interim heavyweight champion without a fight. He said, hey, Stavern, Alexander Povetkin failed his drug test, so Stavern should be the automatic interim champion. WBC came back and said, you're wrong. We cannot give him a title without a fight. So that seems pretty simple to me. Alexander Povetkin, where's he at in all this? This is going to, anybody who said, and who called it, I called it, said that nothing is going to happen to this guy. The waters are already getting muddy in this whole thing. Povetkin apparently took a test 10 days after the first one and passed it. To me, so what? I mean, I don't know that that's really, I don't know how you can really defend this because it's out of your system or whatever the case may be. But the long and the short of it is Povetkin cleared a test. They're really trying to muddy the waters on this one. But even Rabinski said it's not a good look. Yeah, even Rabinski came out and said, hey, this is not very good. So, Beeb, what do you think of Povetkin? Do you think he comes back? Do you think or this is it for him?
I don't see how the sanctioning bodies can rank him after all this. It's just, I think they would lose credibility. I just think this guy's going to be fighting in obscurity in Russia, and I think after this, the WBC is probably going to drop him out of the rankings. Because I don't understand.
That's what they should do.
That's what they should do, right?
It's coincidental that on 2 occasions. He comes up positive, and then afterwards he's negative. So it's like I just never heard of anything like this before. I've never seen anything as bizarre or heard anything as bizarre as this, where a guy takes a series of tests and then is positive on one, and on the very next one he's negative in a short period of time. So it just smells fishy to me because, as I said, a lot of these drugs will stay in the system for a long, long time. Like some of these drugs have 6-month shelf lives. I know people that take DECA, they've said it stayed in the system up to a year. So just because you come off a drug and, you know, it's still going to be in your system. So whether or not, you know, this is the thing. You know, steroids will take you here, take you to a place much higher than you would have gone. But once you come off those drugs, you know, you don't lose everything that you gained. You don't go back to square one. So whatever you built or whatever benefit you have obtained from the drugs, you know, you reap the benefits for a long time thereafter. So everyone thinks that, you know what, a guy can be on a specific drug, and then once he stops, you know, all the effects of that drug is gone. No, because a lot of these guys, a lot of athletes will take the drugs in the off season, and then once the training camp starts, they'll start weaning off it. And it seems to me, and again, I'm not a scientist, but I've known people who've taken drugs, and I'm not saying I'm a guru with drugs, but I know a little bit about these performance-enhancing drugs, and I know a little bit about steroids. And I do know that guys will try to time it so, you know, it'll be out of their system by the time their testing starts. And it just appears to me that Alexander Povetkin miscalculated this, and that's why when he does come up positive, there's trace amounts left in, because he's thinking that he's waited it out, and he's probably trying to flush things out, trying to put the masking agent in there, whatever. And again, this is just, you know, me speculating.
Right.
But it's just a coincidence that both times there's trace amounts left when he's being tested, and then he gets tested again and it's gone. So it just seems to me like he miscalculated, or someone that's giving him the drug and helping him with the drug or whatever, if he's dealing with, you know, a lot of the times you deal with a guy, not necessarily a doctor, but a guy who's pretty educated, like not like an Alex Ariza, but like a Memo Heredia, who's definitely, you deal with types of people like that are helping you along. And, you know, maybe he's just miscalculating, and it's still left in the system, and he's thinking it's going to be gone by the time he's going to be tested. And I just think it's just him fucking up.
Yeah.
Basically, it's him fucking up. So it is what it is. You know, whether he took it a long time ago, whether he took it recently, he still reaps the benefits of it, because again, you never go back to where you started. You go to a certain level, and then you come off, and you're still going to reap those benefits. So if you put on muscle with the steroids and you come off the steroids, you're not going to lose all the muscle that you gained. As long as you still work out, you'll lose some of it, but you'll keep a good amount of it as well too. So that's the thing. So people think, oh well, he took it 6 months ago, he took it 4 months ago, he took it 9 months ago, whatever. He still took it, and he still reaped the benefits, and it still made him better, and he's still reaping the benefits of it as well. So it is what it is. If these sanctioner bodies continue to rank him, then it's just going to make them look bad. And again, you know, I suspect that many of these athletes are taking performance-enhancing drugs. And, you know, I'm not that guy who takes that moral stance against them. I mean, but the thing is if you sign a contract, if there are rules to be followed, and, you know, you pop positive, you come up dirty, then you got to deal with the repercussions. It's as simple as plain. You know, it's like anything else in life. We may not agree with the laws that are set forth, but, you know, if we break those laws, we deal with the punishment that comes with breaking those laws. So he's got to deal with the punishment. It's not about anything moral with me. It's just about the simple fact that rules are rules, and they have to be followed. And there's a lot of rules and a lot of laws that I don't think make sense, but guess what? I got to follow them. And I get punished, so you should get punished.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. Stranger things have happened, and a lot of these things get swept under the rug. But I don't know if the WBC can put a happy face on this one. They did not sanction the fight, so that leads me to believe that maybe they're going to take this guy out of the rankings.
I would hope. I mean, I really don't think they had any choice but to not sanction the fight. That's just my personal thing. But who knows? Who knows for sure? Incidentally, if you're on the switchboard now and you're holding, just hang on and we'll get to you. I promise we will get to everybody. All right, so let's talk about this. This is interesting here. and I really want to rail against this. Deontay Wilder will return February 25 to defend his title against Andre Wawrzyk. We'll go with Wawrzyk. Andre Wawrzyk. In case you're wondering who Andre Wawrzyk is, so are we. I have no idea who this guy is. He doesn't fight outside of Poland very much. He was on one of Wilder's undercards in Alabama. He was knocked out by Alexander Povetkin in 3 rounds. He is apparently the number 12 ranked WBC contender. You know, I'm not willing to give him a pass on this one. This is awful. This is a horrible matchup. And this is seriously called cherry picking right here at the highest level. I mean, I don't understand how anybody can give a pass on this. I don't care if his hands messed up or not. You cannot put this guy. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is just flat out ridiculous. The guy has fought nobody. He's not won any meaningful fights. How he's ranked number 12, I have no idea. Makes me think I could probably get in the rankings. Robert, what are your thoughts on this?
As I said, as I famously said one day, the WBC are idiots. But look, you can't. This is inexcusable. I understand you were seriously injured. Okay, when you fought Chris Arreola, you had to undergo major surgery. You had to undergo rehab. You know, you had to do all these things to recover from your various injuries. But you are the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. Look, if you're going to have a tune-up fight because you want to see how you're going to do after your injuries, you don't put your title on the line. You can fight this guy, but don't make it for your belt. This guy hasn't earned a title shot. Who the fuck has he beaten to earn a title shot? How the hell has he got ranked? Yeah, give me a fucking break. I mean, no, I mean, hell, this is how Deontay Wilder got the fight with Eric Molina. He did the same thing with him, Eric. And remember, we actually gave him a pass.
We gave
on
a pass on
thought,
Eric Molina. I'm
okay,
done.
You know.
Yeah, I'm absolutely done.
This is the same kind of thing that he's doing here. And I understand we interviewed him and he's supposed to be a friend of the show, but how the hell can we support this?
You can't. I mean, you really can't. I mean, what can you say? How do you defend this? You can't. You know, there's nothing there to defend. You know, it just is. Beeb, defend it.
Wow. You know, I listened to the interview. Shout out to 78 Sports TV on YouTube. Man, he's a guy that I really like and I enjoy listening to. Shout out to 78 Sports TV because he did a great interview with Deontay Wilder, I believe a couple of days ago, and he asked some awesome questions. And he asked him about this fight, and I guess his answer was, and I'm coming off an injury, and why should I take a tough fight? I got to test out my hand to see, if it's healed, if I'm ready to fight. And the funny thing is, if you get cleared by the doctor, then obviously that means you're ready to fight, I would think, right? So if the doctor says you're cleared, then you're ready to fight. Now, that's the thing. So I just find this hard to believe, and I'm just not excited about it. And I just don't understand it because this guy's had like how many fights now? Like 30, 34 fights, 35 fights. And I'm looking at a guy like Anthony Joshua, who
37-0 with 36 knockouts.
Yeah, 37-0 with 36 knockouts. What's Anthony Joshua's record? Like 23, 24-0?
Yeah, I got his right here. 18-0 with 18 knockouts. Let me read you Anthony Joshua's last few fights. Dillian White. Then he won the title against Charles Martin. Dominic Breazeale. Eric Molina. And Eric Molina was a soft touch, no question. Vladimir Klitschko is up next for him. Let me read you Wilder's last couple of fights here. Bermane Stavern, that's when he won the title. Eric Molina, Johan Duhaupas, Arthur Spilska, who I said I thought it was a good fight. That's a good fight. Chris Arreola, and now Andre Wawrzyk. He's fighting nobody. How can you even, I mean, I don't understand how you can even consider this a title defense. How can you consider him defending the title? His only defense was against Arthur Spilska, in my view.
That's what I'm saying. You know, at least Joshua is fighting Klitschko. You know, and we thought that Deontay Wilder would have fought Klitschko by now. But let's take a look at it. Tyson Fury has less fights than Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua has less fights than Deontay Wilder, and they both, Fury fought Klitschko and beat him, obviously, and won the title. And now we got Joshua going up there and getting ready to fight Klitschko as well. And he only had 18 fights.
Quality guys.
So this is again showing you how great the UK is. We're not afraid to put our fighters in there with champions, with guys who have great resumes, guys who are legends in the sport. We have guys like Carl Frampton coming over here and taking on Leo Santa Cruz. We got guys like James DeGill coming over here and taking the belts, from a U.S. fighter on U.S. soil, fight split decision against Andre Durrell. This is what the UK is all about, man. We're no jokes. We're no jokes. We don't want it easy. We want to go to your backyard. We want to go in the lion's den and take your lunch money. That's what we want to do. We're not afraid to do that. And Deontay Wilder, he has a really, really good persona about him. He has a good image. He's that American heavyweight champion. He can really do some great things and get the public behind him. He's in a position where, people can really get behind him. He can really make some noise in this division. I just don't understand the strategy and the selection of these opponents. I don't know how anyone can get excited for these fights. And I really don't believe anyone is excited for these fights.
No.
In stark contrast, we got Anthony Joshua, Vladimir Klitschko, getting ready to fight in front of 90,000 fans. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that? And then, again, 78 asked him a question. Do you hope you can unify the division in 2017? And he goes, well, there's no easy answer to that because, I would like to think I could, but you know how boxing is. No. It's not about how boxing is. You can pick the fights that you want. No one is holding a gun to your head and telling you got to fight these guys. These are the guys that you want to fight. Now, you're on the phone with Tyson Fury. Conveniently, now that he's got the belt stripped and he's been out of the ring for a while, he's going through his problems. So now he wants to fight Tyson Fury. Allegedly, he's been talking to Tyson Fury for a long time, but for whatever reason, never fight came up.
Right.
He was supposed to. He's supposed to be fighting Klitschko at some point in time, this year, but he never did. So, I mean, I just don't understand what's going on with Deontay Wilder because, this division is starting to pass him by. Because even these guys are talking about fighting Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua's, and the Klitschko's. They're talking about fighting Joseph Parker, and Dillian White and all these guys want to fight. So all these other guys are looking to take on challenges. Romain Stavern was getting ready to take on Alexander Povetkin. But, all these guys are looking.
90 seconds.
Deontay Wilder is still fighting these guys that nobody knows and nobody cares about. And this is the WBC champion. That's one of the most prestigious belts in boxing. That's the green belt that everybody wants.
And here's another thing to consider, guys. After he beats this person, he's going to have a mandatory, whoever the WBC decides to give that shot to.
60 seconds.
Andrew Povetkin. But I'm starting to think of Deontay Wilder as a horrible heavyweight champion because of his actions and his choice of opponents. He always said, he wanted to be in tough fights and he wanted to do this and he wanted to do that. But his actions say otherwise. He wants to take the easy street. we as boxing fans, we need to get behind people who are willing to step up and actually fight fights. I'm starting to question what the Alabama Bomber, the Bronze Bomber, is all about here. Is he about title defenses and actually making a name for himself, or is he about the mighty greenbacks that everybody else is concerned with? And he
10 seconds
against.
Well, you know, and let's say he's about the money. I mean, let's look at it. How much is Joshua? How much do you think Joshua's going to pull down against Klitschko? And don't get it wrong. I don't think that's a great fight. I think it's a big event, but Klitschko's well past his prime. We saw that against Fury. We saw it against when he came here and he fought. And I always forget the guy's name. Yeah, Jennings.
Ryan Jennings.
You know that he's not the same guy, so it's a good payday for him. It's going to be a huge payday for Joshua. I mean, and what is Wilder exactly doing? He said he wants to unify the titles and all this other stuff. What's he doing to get ready for that? I mean, what obstacle is Wawrzyk going to put in front of him? You know, what obstacle did Eric Molina put in front of you? You know what I mean? I mean, he's not. I wouldn't. You know, as soon as he fights anybody with any kind of class, you got to wonder how that fight's going to go down. You know, that's not a gimme fight anymore. And you know, he's fighting. You know, Anthony Joshua's over there. He wants to get better. He's fighting Brazil. He's fighting Klitschko. He wants to get better. He's fighting good opposition. You know, he's favored to win these fights. Yeah, but he's fighting good opposition. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is the thing, though, Eric, and you hit the nail right on the head. He's making gradual steps forward, whereas it seems like Deontay Wilder's like stuck on a treadmill. He's not going anywhere. He's
nowhere.
Stuck on this level of opposition, and he's not moving forward. Whereas you said, just to piggyback off what you were alluding to, Anthony Joshua, if you look, each guy is better. He's a different style. It's a different set of challenges for him. And it seems like Deontay Wilder is fighting the same type of guy every time out. A guy who's slow, a guy who's not a big puncher, a guy who's not dangerous, a guy who's just in there that's going to make him work a little bit and give him rounds. So it's basically, and I hate to say this because I don't want to denigrate any fighter out there, but boxing is about levels. We know this. And certain guys are at a certain level and other guys are at a higher level than them. And if you continuously fight guys below your level, then you're not going to get better. So then when you finally do step up, then you're not prepared for the challenge. And again, that's exactly what you said. And I have to just really, you know, elaborate on that and concur with you on that, because I don't understand what's going to happen. Because again, when you look at Eric Molina actually won rounds. You know, Spielka won rounds. These guys actually landed shots that wobbled Wilder. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's also possibly that a sense of complacency is setting in too, where he's not getting up for these guys. And you know, how are you going to just turn it on when you are in that big fight? You know, you have to be ready and you have to be prepared. And and again, there's nothing that he's done so far that is going to prepare him for that big fight. I think he's going to be shocked when he's in that big fight.
Everybody knew.
Just think how horrible February 25th is going to be. My God, that's awful.
Everybody knew.
And not only that,
when Wilder got in there against Stavern. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, just one last thing too, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all.
But even if Wilder does fight at Fury, or if he does end up fighting at Joshua, would it even make sense for them to come here?
No.
When they can sell out a huge stadium in the UK?
No.
And you know what I'm saying? So he's going to have to go overseas and fight these guys in their backyard, and that's only going to add to the difficulty of the fight, because they're going to have the home court advantage, and he's going to have the crowd against him. So, I just don't see what he's doing to position himself right now to be in a big fight.
I mean, we all knew when he fought Stavern, we all knew that he had some work to do. We all saw the holes in his game leading into Stavern, and we saw him do a good job with Stavern. But we all saw that, hey, he needs some seasoning here. But he's got yet to get it, because they keep feeding him the same people leading into the title as after the title. It's like the competition has not gone better. He has not gotten fed better competition. He's gotten fed the same competition as before he fought for the title. Whereas you look at Joshua, you know, Dillian White was a good fighter, and that was a good step up for him. But once he got the title, it has been steadily, with the exception of Eric Molina, it has been steadily stepping up. And I'm including Klitschko in that also, because that's a big event, and don't discount that. It's a big event. You know, if you don't think your fighter, I mean, you want your fighter to be in those kind of things. I mean, a 90,000 seat venue, that's huge, you know, and having a fight, you know, in front of all those people, don't think the butterflies aren't there. You want your fighters in those positions. Yeah, he's going to be favored to win. Yeah, he's going to be favored to win by KO. Yeah, he probably does it within 6 rounds. But again, it's experience against big names, big opposition, you know, and which is what Wilder is not getting. And I don't understand it, because he, you know, and he clearly said, like you said in that interview, he said that, well, why take a chance? Well, yeah, you're right. Well, then when you do take a chance, you know, just go ahead and mail your opponent that title, because that's going to be the last time you're going to see it, you know. But yeah, I'm not giving him a pass at all. Unbelievable. I was just furious when I saw that, man.
Why take a chance? Well, because you're daring to be great. That's what great fighters do. They take chances.
Because you're the heavyweight champion of the world. Right. You know, I mean, it's exactly unreal, man. Unreal. Very disappointing.
That's why you take a chance, Mr. Wilder. That's why you take a chance.
That's it, man.
Because you want to be great.
Speaking of daring to be great, Danny Jacobs opens as a huge underdog to Triple G. Danny Jacobs has opened up as an 8-1 underdog against the reigning middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin. Is this warranted? Beeb, you're our odds guy. Is 8-1 warranted? You don't think he's gonna? I mean, is that too long odds? I mean, you don't think the fight is any closer than that?
A lot of people are actually thinking Jacobs is going to give Golovkin a tough fight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people, but I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong. 8-1 does seem a little steep. So people want to talk about how what was Kell Brook only a 6-1 underdog, I believe, or
yeah, he was 6-1, 6-1.
Yeah.
Or in some sports book as low as 5-1.
Wow.
You know, and I hear people say, well, you know, everyone criticized Kell Brook as an opponent, but these guys are bigger underdogs. But that doesn't matter. You know, the odds makers do what they do. They're not the end all of how the fight is supposed to play out. Do you honestly think that Kell Brook can give Golovkin a better fight than Jacobs? I don't think so. I think Jacobs is going to lose. He quite possibly will get knocked out, in my opinion. But I still think he's going to last more than 4 rounds. And I still think that with his size, speed, and strength, and pretty decent punching power, I think he brings a little bit more to the table. This is the guy that's even fought. Jacobs has fought at super middleweight. He's been as high as super middleweight, and he's like 6 feet, 6'1", I believe.
Hometown.
Yeah, 6'1"
in Brooklyn.
He's a long, tall, big guy, and I suspect he walks around at about 180, 185.
Yeah.
Whereas Kell Brook walks around at 170. So he's legitimately, 15 pounds heavier than Kell Brook. Legitimately, factually, I should say, 4 inches taller, right? And has much longer reach. I mean, this is a different animal. So when I hear people say, "Oh, well, people make fun of Triple G for fighting Kell Brook, they criticize him, but Kell Brook was less of an underdog than Jacobs and these other guys," what the fuck kind of argument is that? I guarantee you Danny Jacobs will do better than Kell Brook. And that's with all due respect to Kell Brook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think that this fight should be possibly a 5-1. We should be a 5-1. 8-1's a little high. I do agree. Go ahead, Robbie. I'm sorry.
A couple of things to consider here. Number one, you had the British boxing public in London, betting money on Kell Brook. That's why the odds were 5-1. They were supporting their guy, even though they knew legitimately he wasn't going to win the fight. That's why the odds were the way they are. But a couple of things to consider about Danny Jacobs. I think this fight for Triple G is going to play out a lot like the Lemieux Triple G fight. I think it's going to take several rounds for for things to play out, and just like the review thing did. And if Danny Jacobs is stopped at all, it would probably be in the late rounds. But I do think that for the first time in a long time, Golovkin does have a chance to finally go a full 12 rounds. I think that's how tough Danny Jacobs will be. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. I don't think it's going to be early knockout. If we're going to get a knockout at all, it's going to be late in the fight. But I do see this as possibly going the distance. And since we're going to be paying for it, it should be the kind of fight that we get our money's worth out of. Because what's worse than buying a pay-per-view and having the main event end real early? But we want to get our money's worth, and I see this possibly going the distance.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be a good fight. May end with a knockout, but I think it's definitely a good fight either way. All right, if you're on hold, just wait. We're coming to you in just a second here. I promise. Beeb, it's time. The train wreck of the week. Perfect. Paul Spadafora, in perfect holiday spirit, stabs his brother. Pittsburgh police say former lightweight boxing champ Paul Spadafora stabbed his brother during an argument and then fought with officers who intervened. Police say the 41-year-old Spadafora stabbed his brother Wednesday night and threatened police, saying, "I'm gonna kill them." Police say they used a stun gun on him after he tried to throw something at him. Spadafora was jailed on charges including aggravated assault and terroristic threatening. His attorney, Phil DeLucente, says the holidays are emotional for families, you think. He says he'll comment before Spadafora's preliminary hearing. Spadafora had a promising career before it was marred by, of course, arrests and convictions. He won the IBF lightweight belt in 1999 when he was 23, but had to give it up after he was charged in a shooting. Spadafora is no joke, man. Spadafora was a good fighter back in the day. If you guys don't remember this guy, he was really good. And he's also, I don't want to say he's most famous for it because he's not, but it's a famous video that went around where he absolutely schooled Floyd Mayweather Jr. in sparring. They have that sparring video. Go to YouTube and Google it, Spadafora Mayweather. And he absolutely ran roughshod over Mayweather in that fight, in that sparring session anyway. Now, of course, the caveat is Mayweather was right in the middle of a comeback. He hadn't fought in a long time. So Spadafora definitely got the better of him. But, Spadafora is no joke. He was a good fighter back in the day. Very good, very solid fighter. Also, too, Ohio, the Las Vegas of the Midwest. I told you, fights are coming here left and right in 2017. Robert Easter, fighting on February 10th in Toledo. He is fighting Luis Cruz and Rasheed Warren, Cincinnati's own world champion, is also fighting on that undercard. He'll be fighting Zanat Zakayanov. This will be on Bounce TV, February 10th in Toledo. And that's not all. The very next week in Cincinnati, Ohio, on February 18th, Adrian Broner, the Problem, versus the other Adrian Granados. 10 rounds, junior welterweights. And also, too, on that card, this is a good card, man. I can't wait to go to this fight. Gary Russell Jr. will be on that undercard. He's fighting Oscar Escandon, 12 rounds for Russell's WBC featherweight title. And Jermell Charlo will fight Charles Hatley, 12 rounds for Charlo's WBC junior middleweight title. And this will be televised on Showtime. So there you go. How about that? The Las Vegas of the Midwest, baby, Ohio. It's where it's at. Nothing I can do about it. It is what it is. 818, you are live.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, AB, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? This is Max calling from Tokyo again.
Oh, okay. Max from Tokyo.
Max.
Thank you so much for waiting. We had you on hold for a long time, too. I apologize about that.
No worries. I know you guys got to get the news in and everything. So thanks for taking my call.
Anytime.
But Eric, just wanted to make a quick point. You made the point about Paulie, Spadafora, and I just think it's a tragedy because I'm with you on that. I really feel like he was one of the really, really skilled and talented fighters that came out in the last 20 years or so even.
Great fighter.
I just kind of felt like it's really, really tragic how his life just kind of fell apart. I mean, honestly speaking, I always wanted to see a welterweight fight between him and Mayweather. Just both of them trained at the top of their games. I just thought it would be a high-level chess match in there. The kind of chess match that maybe Mayweather has very, very rarely been in his career. I think, he probably would have pulled it off, but I think it just would have been a hell of a technical fight.
It wouldn't have been an easy fight for him, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I mean, I hope that he figures out his demons. I mean, he's got the rest of his life in front of him and everything, but it's just, it is one of those tragedies that, you got to learn to live with as a boxing fan, I guess. And, to the other point about, Danny Jacobs and GGG, I think, you know what? A lot of people I think Jacobs is deservedly the underdog, to be fair.
Sure.
But if you really think about it, right, the only way that you can, at this point in Triple G's career, right, you can't really outbox him. I mean, I've seen people try to do it. Maybe that level of boxer doesn't exist in the middleweight division right now, but his jab and his footwork are just kind of too good. Like, his jab is going to start to land at some point. That amateur style, right? It's tough to box against that unless, like, you're really like a savant, like a Mayweather Whitaker level savant, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really, there's not really fighters out there that can outbox him. So the point is, if you know that you can land shots every now and then, like Cal Brook did and that Willie Monroe did, you got to make them count. And so what you're then left with saying is, okay, who are the heaviest hitters who can land from distance, right? And the two guys for me in that division are Danny Jacobs and also Andy Lee. I feel like both of those guys have the kind of power where, you got to land one really good shot and make him go down or make him really back up, like hurt him basically. Because accumulation is just not going to happen. I feel like a firefight isn't going to help. You have to survive long enough to land a good combination or one good, like, huge shot. So I do feel like Jacobs has the best chance out of the guys that, Golovkin hasn't already fought. Because the Canelo fight, to be very honest, I don't think it's going to happen for another 2 years at least. And in that time, Golovkin is going to have to fight people like Danny Jacobs. I think eventually there's talk about, the Charlos moving up. I think that would be a really interesting fight because Charlo can box a little bit and he seems to have a lot of power. Can he last with GGG? I mean, we don't know, but only one way to find out. But I don't think the Canelo fight is going to happen until maybe 2019 or so. They want to make sure that, like, Golovkin is, like, in his late 30s and he's really sort of, like, starting to fade before they finally put that fight together. And that's just what I think.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy for Danny. I think it's an incredible story, man. What he came back from, and he's on top of the world now. And I hope he gets a good payday. I hope he doesn't get hurt too badly in the fight. But in the end, I think it's the best possible matchup that you could make given the circumstances. How do you feel about that?
I tell you, I think it's a good fight. I don't think it's a runaway. I don't think it's a runaway at all, man. I think he's definitely an underdog. He's a live dog, though, because I tell you what, I counted him out against Quillen. I thought Quillen was going to run right over him, and it was just the opposite. Jacobs can fight. And Jacobs, given his life story and everything, he's used to fighting. He can fight. He can dig down, and he can scrap. Man, I tell you what, again, man, you have to favor Triple G in this, no question. But Jacobs is definitely a live dog, man. If you're going to bet an underdog at any point this year, man, hey, why not put the money on him? Robert, you were going to say something?
Boy, I don't like the picture that Beeb and Max and other people are pointing out for my man Triple G. That waiting until 2019, that is horrible.
I don't think he waits that long. I really don't. I think he goes up to, if Canelo doesn't fight him, he goes up to super middleweight.
Yeah, look. I say this: if the fight doesn't happen in September, you go up to 168 and you start fighting the James DeGales, the Badu Jacks, the Gilberto Ramirez, and show everybody at 168 what you're made of. Unfortunately, when he does that, however, and that kind of leaves him out of the mega fight sweepstakes unless he jumps all the way up to 175. And I don't know if he can carry that weight, you know?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I think one of the things that's really interesting is if you saw in the lead up to the Kell Brook fight, 30 days before the fight, Golovkin weighed 165 pounds.
Yeah,
man,
that's right.
That's insane, because that's basically tells me that he's walking around at maybe low 160s, high 170s max. If you're cutting like 6% of your weight in order to make your weight class, that means, honestly speaking, he's a pretty small middleweight, to be very honest. He's not a big middle, and he punches like a locomotive, right? But he's a really small middleweight. So I'm concerned. I feel like if he went up to 168, he's still good enough to beat guys like Badou Jack and James DeGale. I think James DeGale is a fantastic fighter, don't get me wrong. I just think it's a matter of class. I think this Ramirez kid is really special, in my opinion. I really like that kid. And I think his length might give Triple G some problems. But the other thing is, this cost benefit, right? Any of those names is worth continuing to fight relative nobodies at 160 and wait for that Canelo fight, because it will happen eventually. It's just a matter of how much they want to wait, I guess. I'm with you, Ringside Robbie. I wanted it to happen this year, to be honest, but it seems like Oscar is going to do whatever he can do to just stop it. And it's sad, but maybe we just have to be a little bit patient. Boxing fans, we're the most patient fans in the world, right?
Right.
The problem if you're Oscar and you make this weight and you drag it out, you're starting to look like Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Like, you're going to drag it out. That's what's hurt this sport. You've got an obvious fight here that is going to make a lot of money. Nowhere near Pacquiao Mayweather, but it's going to make loads of money. But yet it seems like the Oscar and Canelo side want to go in other directions. And meanwhile, this other guy is constantly fighting anybody they put in front of him. But there's nobody at 168. If he does move up, there's nobody at 168 that's going to give him the major payday. It's either going to be at 160 or 175. And I was going to comment on the weight thing. I think Golovkin is the kind of individual that he always stays in shape. I don't ever remember him blowing up in weight between fights. So I don't think that that's a problem here. I think he always stays around his fighting weight. It's not like a Timothy Bradley, where Bradley's at 147, but between fights you see him at 175, 180. I don't think you ever see Golovkin get out of shape at all. I think he's constantly around what his fighting weight is.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, you guys remember Eric Morales a long time ago when he was fighting at those more weight classes, but he would just balloon up in between. I know, man, I love me some Mexican food, but holy shit. I don't know how the hell he ever cut weight to get back down to like featherweight or whatever.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand it, man. Duran was the same way, where he would blow up between fights too. And then he come down and you see him like between fights, he's huge. And then you see him at the fight, you're like, what? It's got to take a toll, man. This has got to take a toll on you.
But see, that's my point. I don't think Triple G does that. You've never heard a story. For example, he went to Big Bear in December or in November when he didn't have a fight scheduled, just so he could stay in shape. That's a guy that's dedicated to his sport.
Yeah, and for sure. Absolutely. And that's why even at an age, I think he's 34, 35 now.
Yeah,
he's
34, going to be 35, yeah.
Yeah. He's at an age where you do see guys start to kind of lose a step, and he just doesn't look like he's changed much in the last couple of years. And there's never been any real, if you look at his frame, right, it seems like he's the natural cut. There's never been any question of PEDs or anything like that.
No way.
I think, as you said, Ringside Robbie, he's done a great job of taking care of himself. One last point I want to make before, I know you guys got a lot of callers on the line, a lot of dedicated faithful, but, conversation with promoters. Beeb, you brought up Eddie Hearn. and of course, like Heyman fighters. You know, the big difference it does seem, well, one is, of course, Hearn is extremely visible, right? He's always the IFL TV, you know, Cassius Coogan, like he does all the, you know, the drive-bys. He talks about his fighters constantly. So he's definitely more out there, whereas like Al is, you know, he's in the shadows. No one's ever seen the guy, right? But I do feel like the PBC fighters, a lot of them, they seem very entitled. You know, they want to keep getting the big paydays for fighting like basically like nobodies. And that's something that does like kind of like it, whereas like it does seem like Eddie Hearn is trying to get these big fights, like whether it's Joshua versus Klitschko or like, you know, trying to do some other stuff. When you look at like even something like David Hay versus Tony Bellew, right? I mean, he's trying to put these big events together. And he did this one video, I think maybe you guys have seen it, where he in very detail talks about the financial arrangement that he has with the fighters, Matchroom's policy, where they open up all the books and they discuss, you know, everything, all the cost and everything. And I thought that was really cool because, I mean, I can see why fighters are starting to go over the pond and starting to sign with Matchroom, because they just seem like they have nothing really. I mean, look, all promoters have skeletons in their closets. It's a dirty business. But I feel like they're probably one of the ones you feel better about if you're doing business with them. And not to say that PBC doesn't take care of its fighters. PBC does, but I just don't see how PBC can keep this gravy train rolling in the future with only occasionally giving us fights like Thurman Porter. I mean, of course, we have Thurman Garcia coming up, but, you know, I think these guys need to fight more and they need to try to fight better opposition, because otherwise, at some point, you know, the money's going to dry up. It's gonna not be there anymore. And I'm very pro fighter. I want these guys to make as much money as they can for what they do. But you know, I can see why Eddie Hearn is really picking up some steam, and Matchroom is doing some really good fights. I can see why it's happening. Are your thoughts on that?
Eddie Hearn takes care of the fighters and the fans. That's the difference. Takes care of the fighters and the fans. And he opens up the books. I've seen the books. There's not one blemish on the books. The books are clean. There's no skeletons. Eddie Hearn is top-notch guy.
Let me tell you what. Eddie Hearn is a giant wank.
Eddie Hearn.
Eddie Hearn is a giant wank who never makes big fights. All his big fights have fallen through. He puts his fighters in jeopardy. Eddie Hearn sucks. And Bob's your uncle, Eddie Hearn, sucks. I'll tell you that. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Ringside Robert, you want to be the tiebreaker on this?
Eddie Hearn, you never know what he's going to do, but hey, we got to support the big event in April. That's all I can say about that.
There you go.
Robbie loves Eddie. Robbie loves Eddie Hearn too. Don't let him
well,
all right,
guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking my call, folks.
Oh,
I'll try to
thank
call
you.
another time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you, Max. Good to hear from you, brother.
Take care, fellas.
All the way from
all
Tokyo.
The way from Tokyo, man.
All the way from Tokyo. How about that? And did you hear what he said? The most important thing he said in his call. Vasil Lomachenko, the fighter of the year. He agreed with me again. Unbelievable. Our callers just unbelievable tonight. Unbelievable. Speaking.
I must have missed that.
Speaking of unbelievable, well, you got to keep listening. You know, maybe catch it on the replay. Speaking of unbelievable callers, is this Corey 804?
Yeah, hey, can you get right back to me in like 2 minutes? I'm right back to you. I'm in line.
Oh, good Lord. Is it like we're ready to wrap? We always get to him and he's like, can you get back to me in 5 minutes? Can you get back to me? We're ready to wrap, son. We waited for you. You went on hold for like 40 minutes. We're waiting for you. We're ready to wrap. I'm going to the calls last. Oh, Corey, you're killing us. All right. Just a few notes here. We'll be taking this week off and returning on January 8th. Robert, you're my savant. That's Sunday, correct?
That is correct. That's during NFL playoff weekend.
There you go. So, yeah, January 8th. And, what are we going to do about these NFL playoffs, man? We got the Super Bowl coming up. Apparently, Oakland's car broke down. I didn't want to say that. I'm just saying. you know, your
Not
boys
pretty.
took it on the chin, baby. They took it on the chin. What are they doing? They're up 19
pretty.
points. They're up 19 points, and they got this idiot in there throwing the ball. Gets his leg broken. You guys doing
Well,
over there?
you know, Eric, I got no problem with it because, you know, the Colts ended up coming back and we only won by 8. So I have no complaints.
Maron. Beeb's Patriots look like they're going to go all the way. And unfortunately for me, my Bengals are out.
Well, it was supposed to be Beeb's Patriots against my Raiders, but I don't think the Raiders are going to make it all the way to New England now.
Nah, I don't think so either.
Of course not, Robbie.
But, you know, I tell you, I did hear some good news. I heard that Marvin Lewis is actually cleaning out his desk. The word around the campfire here in Cincinnati is that Marvin Lewis, coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, problem of the Cincinnati Bengals, is clearing out his desk. He said he's going to retire. The word is he's going to retire at the end of the year. Not honor his contract, retire at the end of the year. Thank goodness. Good riddance.
Black Monday will be interesting because today Buffalo fired Rex and Rob Ryan.
Fired both of the brothers, man. Both of the brothers. Yeah. Fired them, man.
Yeah.
Cold-blooded family affair right there. Yeah. It'll be real interesting here. All right. Corey's got one last chance. It's been 2 minutes here. Corey, are you ready?
Yo, I'm back. What's up, man? I'm back. What's up, baby?
What's on your mind, buddy?
7-Eleven line, man.
The 7-Eleven.
Y'all called me in the 7-Eleven line in Virginia. I had some Miami Dolphins paraphernalia. Let's get it, Miami. We're in the playoffs, baby. First time in 11 years. Let's get it. Yeah, man. I'm happy for the Dolphins, man. The Dolphins doing awesome, dude. I'm so happy for them. All right. You know, I'm a true fan. I stayed with them for 11 years plus. I've been with the Dolphins for 15 years since I was in like 3rd grade. I've been hanging tough with them, man. All my family are Cowboy fans, so you know I'm the one that's different out of the bunch, I guess.
Get the jersey, ride it into the Super Bowl, son. Dallas, baby. Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. So look, that's what I wanted to start
Ohio
on.
State.
This is what I wanted to start on with the boxing, though, man. I wanted to start on the fucking HBO and Showtime beef, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, though, man. HBO is not the premier network it used to be. I mean, come on, y'all hyping HBO up like they're doing heavy shit. They did fucking Crawford and Molina. That shit was awesome.
Corey, you obviously didn't listen to the whole show because earlier in the show,
he was in line at 7-Eleven, son.
Hey, earlier in the show, I pointed out that the place to be in 2017 for boxing is Showtime. If you want to depend on HBO for boxing, most of your expense is going to be on pay-per-view because that's the way they're going to do business in 2017.
I ain't bullshit, man. That shit was just ugly, dude. Like, I'm not even lying. Like, the fucking the whole HBO has just been going downhill, dude. It's just been going down. You know what I mean? Just looking at, you know, their lineup, it doesn't look promising. You know what I mean? And I mean, to be honest with you, does anybody know if the Joshua Klitschko fight is on HBO? I mean, because I know Joshua has a Showtime contract.
We haven't heard yet.
No, I have a feeling. I have a feeling, in all seriousness, that Showtime is gonna get that because HBO, frankly, doesn't want to spend any money. That's the problem.
Oh wow!
And nobody's gonna buy that on pay-per-view. I mean, because HBO put that on pay-per-view. Who's gonna buy that? Nobody's gonna buy that. I mean, they're not gonna buy it.
And it's already it's gonna be free on Showtime because the only ones they're gonna have to pay is Sky Sports.
Yeah.
You know, people in the UK because. In the UK, it'll be pay-per-view, but here it'll be on Showtime. That's my prediction.
And I was gonna ask y'all, man. I think that Jacobs has a pretty good chance in this fight, but I think the only bad part about this whole fight is Jacobs' chinny chin chin, baby.
Yep, that's right.
he's got a shot, but
you know, if you can get dropped by Sergio Moore, man, you can get dropped by Golovkin any day of the fucking week on his work.
That's right.
You know, and I'm gonna just tell y'all. I mean, you know, I don't know if y'all talked about it too much, but you know, I know it's a little old, but the Ruiz Joseph fight wasn't that interesting. I mean, to be honest with you, I think any fucking I'm telling y'all right now, y'all mark my fucking words. After David Hayes knocks out Tony Bellew, he's gonna fucking destroy Parker. I'm telling you this right now. He's an entertaining fighter. He gives the fans what they want to see. Knockout. Look what fucking Dylan White went. Look how long it took Dylan White to fucking fight Derek Chisora. They went 12 rounds. Nobody got knocked down. And that shit was it was a barn burner. But fucking David Hayes got him out of there in 5. Did y'all forget about that? David Hayes is still an animal. He's still a force to be reckoned with in the heavyweight division. He took the Tony fight because he's getting money off of it. You know what I mean? He was just standing still waiting for one of the things to freeze up. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you what, he took the Bellew fight because he had nothing in front of him.
For money.
He had absolutely nothing in front of him.
Money. I think
Shannon Briggs would have made more money than Tony Bellew, and he dropped it. Tony Bellew, let me tell you right now, Tony Bellew is going to kill David Hay. It's not even going to be close. He's going to kill David Hay. And then that's the last time we're going to be talking about David Hay on the show, son, because he's going to get murdered.
Hey, yo, I'm telling y'all this right now. Rod, all y'all have to hear me. Beeb, all y'all have to hear me. If he loses this bet, he has to go blonde.
I can't go blonde. I've got a job, son.
Yes. You have to go blonde.
I'm going blonde. We'll agree to something. It won't be going blonde.
Yeah, I got money in the bank. I'm buying the fucking dye and everything. I'm mailing it to your address.
Call me the nature boy.
Oh shit! But no, man. On another note, dude, man. You know what I'm saying? I love the show. I just want to tell y'all, man. You know, some good fights are coming up. You know, my brother just asked me when I went over his house a few minutes ago. I've been on hold for like 30, 45 minutes.
Oh yeah, you've been a champ, man. You've been a champ for sure.
So I stayed on hold, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. We appreciate it.
I've been on hold, you know what I mean? So all I'm going to tell you is that my brother was asking me, I was telling him that Paul Spatter 4 was one of my favorite fighters, you know what I mean? Because he's a Pittsburgh kid, you know what I mean? He's really good. He was really good, you know, before he shot his baby mama and he stabbed his brother. But, I mean, he was pretty good, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was telling my brother about him, and he's just like, my brother's just like, fuck all that. When's the Thurman Garcia fight? I said March 4th, baby.
That's a good fight, man. That's a good fight.
That's gonna be one of the best fights. That's gonna be fight of the year. Mark my words, y'all.
It's got potential, that's for sure.
Fight of the year. I think the Thurman Garcia fight is gonna be fight of the year. And I want to ask y'all, who do y'all honestly think is gonna win?
Keith Thurman.
You think Keith Thurman's gonna win?
I'm leaning toward.
I got Keith Thurman also.
I'm actually leaning toward Garcia because he's able to make the adjustments during the fight.
Nobody has Garcia but me.
What did I just say? Did you just? Am I on mute here? Yeah, I said I think that I'm leaning toward Garcia because of his adjustments.
You said you're leaning towards Garcia. You didn't say you picked Garcia.
Well,
I've heard you say you leaning on fighters before the show, and then you lean the other way.
Well, that's whatever way the wind blows is which way I'm going. So.
You do a lot of switching up from show to show.
I absolutely do.
You do a lot of switching up from show to show. I don't know.
After the Bellew fight, I'm going to be a Hay fan.
After the Bellew fight, you're going to be a Hay hater.
The Beeb makes his picks about maybe 3 months out, and he rides them all the way to the bank, baby.
I wait till the weigh-in. I got to wait till the weigh-in or the week before the fight. I want to see what kind of shape they're in, what's going on. Have they had any trouble in camp? Is there any rumors going on? That's how smart bettors work.
I mean, I honestly think that this could be fight of the year, and I think the winner could get fighter of the year. Because the winner is supposed to be fighting Mayweather. They're already in talks. They've already been in talks. Both fighters know that there's like a 50 to 60% chance that they'll fight Mayweather next. Because then after that, you know what I mean? Both of them will have credits under their name. You know, fucking Garcia already has a whole bunch of credits under his name. You know what I mean? Some questionable, some straight fucking knockouts like Khan. And then you got fucking Thurman, which he got Sean Porter on his name. And I mean, it could have went either way too. So it's like, if one of these dudes knock each other out, it's going to be a clear favorite for Mayweather sweepstakes. Baby! Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's adding up now. It's finally adding up. You know what I mean? Like, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. If one of these guys show a true statement and they really put on a good performance, where it's a clear-cut winner, they'll fight Mayweather next. There's no doubt in my mind. They're both Al Haven fighters, so it'll be easy as shit to fucking put on, you know what I mean? And then by that time, both Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia will be well known more than they already are. So I mean, hey, I honestly think it could possibly happen. But moving on, I just got two other things I want to get at. I honestly think y'all need to watch Youi. He's fighting before the year's
30th.
out.
He's fighting on the 30th. Yeah.
That's my favorite fighters. That's one of my favorite fighters. I think he should have been one of the pound for pound. He should have been on the pound for pound list. You know what I mean? Or at least for the top 5, top 10 pound for pound list. I mean, he's just doing it up. I mean, he's 23. He's already went through 3 weight divisions. He's fucking 11. He's only 11-0, and he's already a 3-time world champion. He's only 23, 11-0, and he's a 3-time champion. And he's from Japan. He has a huge following behind him. He was sitting front row at the Chucky Lotito fight, and Chucky Lotito looked horrible. I mean, I'm pretty sure Youi was licking his chops in that fight. I mean, do you blame him? I mean, look at that shit. I mean, that shit wasn't. One judge had it like clear favorite Chucky Lotito. I mean, do y'all think it was like that? I don't think it was a clear favorite.
I don't know. For me anyway, I want to see what he looks like. Like I said, man, I want to see this fight on New Year's. It's not going to be it should be a showcase fight for him. He should win impressively. I want to see that, and I want to see him fight some competition here. I want to see him fight some name guys.
I mean, I honestly think he's the guy, but you know what I mean? I just wanted to put that bird in y'all ear, and I got one more thing to say before I'm out, man, because it's getting late, and I got to wake up and go to work in the morning. But all I'm going to tell y'all is, man, I think the guy Wawrzyk from the Ukraine.
Yeah, Alexander.
That Lomachenko's father trains him. I think that dude's a fucking animal, dude. I've been talking about this dude shows back. When we were talking about the heavyweights, I was talking about Wawrzyk because I think he could do I think he could do damage. You know what I mean? The word on the street is when him and Klitschko sparred, they closed all doors. They had no cameras involved, and it was a straight head-to-head. You know what I mean? It was a barn burner. And I mean, he's been known to school. You know what I mean? They said Joseph Parker. He was the reason why Joseph Parker didn't get into the Olympics. You need to do your research on this guy, yo. This dude is a real fucking deal.
He's a good fighter. Definitely a good fighter. Definitely a good prospect for sure.
I'm telling y'all. They asked Joseph. They asked Joseph Parker,
who is the best fighter that you've ever sparred with? And he said, hands down, Usyk. And Usyk is not even a fucking heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight. And doesn't have to kill himself to make the weight. Very disciplined. Coming from the Lomachenko family. Very disciplined. That's my call, yo. I love the show. Peace and love. Have a happy new year.
All right, man.
I'm out.
All right. Good call, man. Thank you for calling. And that is going to be our last call of 2016. How about that? And that'll do it.
Good.
That's right. And that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 773-572-7781 and leave him a message. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1 and find his YouTube channel at www.beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside 73, and we hope all of you have a very happy and safe new year, and we will see you on January 8th.